Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
In the mid-range, he'll drive it and tie it up. 2 seconds remaining.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Prescott trying to take advantage. Going deep. Cooper. Oh! One-hander! Are you kidding me?
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Now with 5. Mitchell wants another 3, and he finds it.
And you want him to play football, Grant.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, we have tried to get the band back all together again. Craig Smoak is here, fresh off a little bit of a respite. Paul Catalina will be here in the next 30 minutes or so. Also in the studio, Marquise Hayden, Jack and Armstrong. And good afternoon, SicEm365 Radio and also 365 Sports on YouTube. The text line open right now at 254-339-1122. Your calls as well. And YouTube. And the YouTube chat line is available and off and running already, as some of you are watching that as well. I just wrapped up about 30 minutes with Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades. He was at that hearing in the Senate hearing yesterday in Austin, clarified. I even asked him about the news that both the Big 12 commissioner and Pac-12 commissioners are going to have kind of a conversation, a meeting, or whatever they're going to do about the possibility. And, of course, it could be anywhere from, hey, how can we make ourselves stronger? Or is there a scheduled alliance that could make us stronger? I don't know. Mac can discuss part of that, not really too much of it, but we had him on. We'll have that today at 4:15. Craig?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of moving parts still, and, I'm interested to hear Mack Rhoades and what he has to say about everything that's been going on, and we obviously have heard some, new news today about the Pac-12 and the Big 12 potentially discussing scheduling alliances or, potentially a merger. I mean, is that on the table? I don't know, but the Big 12 and the Pac-12 are having conversations, and I've seen some Pac-12 voices who seem to be pretty in the know that think that this is something that could continue for a while and, may not have any actual outcome for a few more months down the line, but it could have an impact ultimately because the Pac-12 is not sitting out there just completely comfortable with everything as though they don't need to make any move whatsoever. I mean, I think they feel better than the Big 12 does right now, but they don't feel like the SEC does right now. So very interesting. The Pac-12 now, we've heard them mention with the Big 10. Not much has come of those talks or that interest apparently so far, but now talking with the Big 12 as well, and we'll see where it takes them. But I like that the Big 12 is at least being proactive. As I said on the podcast earlier today, with Grayson, I just wish this Bob Bowlesby would have been around the whole time because I think if this version of Bob Bowlesby, who's not taking any guff, who's kind of, got his chest poked out and is fighting, I think that's what they've needed this entire time. And instead of being that guy, he was the guy who's like, well, I'll leave it up to the playoff committee of whether or not we get a team into the playoff. And let's give into Texas and let's band the horns down. And, there's just little things along the way that I don't think added up into anything, but I just look back on them and I go, where was that backbone then? You know what I mean? And I'm glad to see it now, but I just hope for the Big 12's sake that it's not too little too late.
Yeah, no, and I even asked Mac today, and part of the conversation, I'm not going to give all of it away because that's at 4:15. We're going to have a little snippet of that in a minute, was this a little bit, is this a little bit too late when you reach out to the Pac-12? And he goes, how do you know that it hasn't been? And he might be right. And one of the things was that you wonder if, in fact, COVID delayed any possibilities of looking or seeing or trying to find possible growth that would have kept us together. I don't know, but that's something that I did ask him as well.
Well, it didn't stop Oklahoma and Texas.
No.
I mean, so... I don't see where it would have stopped anybody else either. And I would have think that if you were talking, conversations occurring last season, then certainly COVID probably took precedent. But, many months have passed since last season. The last game of last season was played, and a lot of these Oklahoma and Texas conversations were apparently happening in these last few months. So, Bob Bowlesby had every opportunity to look around his conference and see if there's maybe some additions that needed to be made. But again, we know the story there. They did that a couple years ago. They felt it was okay to stay pat, and now you can judge them on being right or wrong. I still maintain that they could have added 2 to 4 teams this last go-round, and Texas and Oklahoma are still making the move that they're making. So, all that's, it really doesn't matter, quite frankly. But now is it in the best interest of the Big 12 to add some teams? We will see that. Or is it perhaps in the best interest to just stay together and go schedule something with the Pac-12? We will see that. And we will see if the Big 12 can just hold out long enough to be able to even try to attempt to do those things.
By the way, I want to continue to thank everybody who is participating with what we do every day. I've given you our staff. What they do behind the scenes is never enough to thank them. And then what we do to try to bring you 3 hours. And then last night, yet again, I was on the text line with 10, 15 of you that had text after the show, watching either a replay or had a chance to text. And I'm going to try to do that when I can. Not every night, but again, already this morning, 8 or 10 more. And right now, the big orange little, or the red 1, which means you've texted from Scotty B. Raymond, the 253 and 336. We'll get to those as we possibly can.
Yeah, and I just want to give a quick shout out. I'm not sure if he's listening right now or not, but Daniel Golden, back in the DFW area, is my sister's boyfriend, great guy, and he and I saw each other this past weekend, and he's a pretty avid listener of the show, and he was just gushing over what the last couple of weeks have been like and listening versus, before this mad rush of expansion and all that. So he's enjoyed hearing all the new names and all the new opinions from across the country, and hopefully everybody else has as well. All
right, listen, the lines are open. If you'd like, we'll have BYU on the platter. Today at around 3:45, we'll talk to Jake Hatch. He covers Brigham Young. He covers the state of Utah like a blanket. He's going to join us at 3:45. Tomorrow, Tony Caridi, who covers West Virginia. He's their play-by-play voice. And then also Ryan Abraham, who covers USC. Those are 2 schools we'll put on the platter tomorrow for you as interviews. Later on today, we'll check in with the Cowboys at 5, the NFL as well at 5:30. But right now, here are some of your texts already today. From Cade, Oklahoma finally got a running back from the portal from Tennessee. Gray's a hell of a player, but Kennedy Brooks didn't play last year, and if he had played last year with that offense, most likely could have gotten some Heisman attention. Oklahoma's not been short. I mean, Trey Sermon leaves, and he's a star at Ohio State, and he was getting a lot of carries, but not enough at Oklahoma. But, yeah, Cedric Gray is one heck of a player. From Scott.
Eric Gray.
Pac-12 and Big 12 need to add one more team just to have an even amount of teams. Let's just figure out what they want to do first. But, Scott, as always, we appreciate you. From Allen.
What's the uneven amount?
Yeah, they have 20, right? Well, yeah, they have 20. Pac-12 has 12.
Oh, if they combined, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, and that's so down the line. Hector Sanchez. I'm a UT fan, but disgusted at how my team is acting. Loyola Lane. Hi, guys. Thank you. I don't, UT fans, you got to worry about yourself, and that's fine. That's what you do, and that's what you should do. But I did talk to Mac a little bit about that. Could there have been at least some more help? And I also asked him about, you see this argument, and I don't think you hear the ADs. Maybe you do, the presidents. Maybe you do, the board. Maybe you do. Well, why do we have to carry your bucket? Why do we have to carry 50% of the water, which was brought up yesterday in the hearing? Who carries the SEC? Does Vanderbilt? Does Mississippi State? Kentucky? South Carolina? It's a pretty big school. Every conference has your anchors, and we'll have that today. And they also, I've heard that a lot. I've seen that a lot. Yeah, Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, big alpha dogs in what they do at the Big Ten. And so I just wanted to kind of take that on, if I could, off the top of the show today. Do the top leaders in most organizations or the power players, do they, on occasion go, well, why do I have to make all the decisions here? Well, aren't you the general manager, or aren't you the president or whatever? I mean, I think it's fair to say that in the scope of the Big 12, OU and Texas sure as hell act like they're the two big dogs and the two that matter, and it's clear by the reports over the last couple weeks, when the financials come out and the TV ratings and all that, they are. They're absolutely the power. So, yeah, they have more weight than the others, and so they are at the top of the food chain. And I see them constantly loving to, and I'm not talking about fans in particular, but the two schools love to brag about how important they are and how many championships they won and how many things they do. But all of a sudden, you do have people going, well, you're at the top of the food chain. Well, why do we have to be at the top? I just find that kind of funny that there's like this drawback or this negative to reaping it. I mean, there's got to be something, right? I mean, you're making all that money, you're the top dog. I mean, I guess there's got to be some drawbacks, and if that drawback is, well, you're kind of carrying the water for the rest of the league, then so be it. But I guess they just would rather blend in and make that same kind of money, but more, and that's their attitude on it. So good for them. All right, now Armstrong, do we have any calls? First of all, do we have the comment from Mac? How long is it? You can come on, please do. Armstrong Sims with us, David Smoak, Craig Smoak. Paul will be here in a moment.
It's a minute and a half.
Minute and a half from Mac from earlier today?
Yes.
All right, Mac Rhodes, the interview with him will be around 4:15. It's lengthy, but I tried, and thanks to Craig and Paul and Ashley and Colt and Brian, among others, for kind of I said, hey, you have something you want me to ask him, and I had my own. And in a lot of it, we doubled up on a lot of the questions, but we'll have that at 4:15. Here's one of my questions and an answer. And while we're doing this, phone's open, 254-339-1122, brought to you by BetUS. Caller line brought to you by BetUS. The BetUS caller line, go to betus.com and use promo code SicEm125. Now listen to this, for 125% sign-up bonus. BetUS, SicEm125 is the promo code. Here's part of it. A real quick comment from Mac Rhodes. What are your thoughts about Bob Bowlesby saying that he and the commissioner of the Pac-12 will meet, whether that is to form a scheduling alliance? Is it the possibility of looking down the road as a different conference or a joining conference, or what? What are your thoughts about what might happen, and how excited are you that they're at least talking?
Yeah, one, it's not my place to confirm whether they're talking or not, but I would say that's what your commissioner is supposed to be doing, right? We're counting on, the commissioner. We're counting on Bob to, provide, some direction and some different options, pathways, right? I don't think you can just, focus on one. I think that, for us, for Baylor, for the remaining 8, for the 3 Texas schools, right? Looking at a variety of options, and the conversation, again, I'm not going to confirm, but if that conversation happened between the commissioner and the Pac-12 commissioner, I would say, yeah, kudos to Bob, because he needs to be exploring all of those options, and I know he's doing that, and will continue to do that.
All right, so that's Mac Rhodes, and I do ask him about it. Is that something that should have been a little bit earlier? And again, we'll get to that at 4:15. Hope you enjoy it. Brigham Young on the clock tomorrow. West Virginia again. Southern Cal. We've already heard from West Virginia, UCF, and we're not done. We'll check out some of the other boxes around the Big 12. Of those remaining and others as well. By the way, some colleges have already started working out. Baylor, Friday, is that right, Craig? We'll start Thursday, their fall workouts as well. Now, this is from Josh in Charleston. If the Pac-12 and Big 12 do a merger, do you think they get a chance for West Virginia to find a home to do travel and geographic location? Well, it depends on the merger. And yeah, it's 2 more time zones for West Virginia. So I'm not forgetting, this isn't about whether it just helps Baylor, TCU, whoever. West Virginia's in the East. That's a 3-hour difference. Or sometimes, it's a 3-hour difference. And is it more than that? If it's 12 o'clock on the East Coast, it's 9 o'clock West Coast. That's right. And there's a mountain time in between Central and Pacific. I get that mixed up based on the time of the year. I would hope so. And if there's going to be an alliance, which again are a merger, we don't know that. That's just their meeting. Then I would think you damn sure have to have divisions that are still somewhat geographically together so you don't sit there and have all your games 3 hours away. It's hard enough right now the way it is.
You mean a midweek basketball game between West Virginia and Southern Cal might be problematic on a Tuesday night going from East Coast to West Coast? Yeah, I've seen that chatter a little bit today with the news that the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are talking, and they are the team that's kind of on the outside looking in that scenario as far as just like, do we fit here? Does this make sense for us? So, yeah, I don't know what West Virginia's reaction would be if, in fact, the Big 12 is able to pull off some sort of an alliance scheduling or merger-wise with the Pac-12. I can't imagine they'd be keen on the idea of what that travel schedule and those subsequent expenses would look like. But, if it's their only option, are they going to balk at that and then run the risk of perhaps dropping down a level? I don't think that they would do that. So, yeah, kind of a weird potential being the key word, fork in the road for the Mountaineers. And you would just hope, if you're a fan, that if there is something to this Big 12, Pac-12 thing, that there's also something to the rumors that maybe because of geography or just, teams that they, are neighborly with, that the ACC would be a good landing spot for them. But again, don't know the interest in the ACC as far as wanting to expand. And again, Notre Dame seems to be a factor in what, future plans for the ACC might look like, plus the grant of rights running through 2036. So they're not going to be, I think, shuffling deck chairs too quickly. I think they're kind of, surveying the landscape. But certainly, great question, because it puzzles me, too, how that would possibly work for West Virginia. And maybe it's a scenario where they do, in fact, seek shelter elsewhere in terms of conference alignment and maybe stay a little bit closer to home. But, yeah, don't know how that would work out.
This is from the 407. Hey, guys, both a West Virginia and Kansas grad here in Florida. Loving the coverage, telling all my fellow Mountaineers and Jayhawks about it. Wondering if you saw the Kansas graphic that the athletics department put out on social media this past weekend, basically making a case for KU to survive and thrive in the conference other than the Big 12. It seemed oddly desperate and a bit premature. Matt in Fort Lauderdale. I think every athletic department is trying to put that up to kind of, and I'll let Mac do his discussion about Baylor with the interview we have, but I think everyone's trying to do that. I also think that we've gotten a lot, about West Virginia, ACC, 2 weeks ago tomorrow at 2:30, all hell broke loose with the story about Brett Zwerneman. That's when it happened, 2 weeks ago. Not a single change has happened other than Texas, Oklahoma officially asked for release. They were invited, and they accepted. Everything else that Oregon or Southern Cal were going to the Big Ten, or that Florida State and Clemson or Michigan, and nothing's happened. All of that, every bit of that has been talk. That's what we do. That's what you do. But nothing other than that has really happened. And so this is not going to be solved overnight by any means whatsoever.
Well, to answer his question about the graphic, yeah, I saw it, and it wasn't just what everybody else is doing. It was a desperate attempt to be selected by some conference out there. I mean, you talk about a reach in terms of discussing your brand and trying to project it a certain way to the masses. This was a backfire in a major way for Kansas athletics. I don't know what the final totals on the tweet and all of that were, but I think there were as many laugh out loud type responses and sarcastic responses to the graphic as there were actual likes or retweets on the tweet. I understand what Kansas's athletics department is trying to do right now. I've seen West Virginia be very proactive and, posting stats here and there about, why the school is great and things like that. But that Kansas, did you not see it?
No.
You clearly didn't see it. Okay, yeah. So the Kansas graphic, it's got in big letters Lawrence, and then in even bigger letters right underneath that, and Kansas City. And then it says, extremely fast-growing area with over 2.5 million people living and working in the Lawrence-KC area. But again, they're not Kansas City. They're not. But they've now twice in the first two lines of this thing have, basically latched onto the city of Kansas, or latched onto Kansas City. It goes on to talk about top-end businesses, over 100 companies, employees, technology, blah, blah, blah. And then it says in big letters, new airport terminal coming in 2023.
Hey, no, I'm telling you, they needed that. They surely needed that. I'm glad that's the case, because that does help.
Well, yeah.
I mean, for me, when we fly up there.
Well, yeah, for those traveling there, that's great. But, it's just kind of funny to see that, like, hey, new airport terminal. Like, all of a sudden the SEC comes running like, hey, Kansas, you got a new airport terminal. We didn't know that. Come on down. And then, it talks about it being a great place to live and all that. But a lot of the actual Kansas City area residents or Missouri residents were like, you're using the state of Missouri as almost like it's you, and, Kansas City doesn't belong to you. You're not even a suburb of it. So, yeah, they got a lot of flack for that. But, I mean, I give them credit for trying. There's a graphic right there that they caught a lot. I mean, look how big Kansas City is compared to Lawrence on this graphic right here. So, yeah, I mean, they're trying like everybody else to find their new home and make themselves look as appealing as possible. But I think in doing so, you got to be smart. And this was a graphic that maybe somebody should have looked over and changed a little bit. But, hey, if it got the point across, then kudos to whoever did it. But online, it did not do what it was supposed to do, I don't think.
I'm trying to think. There's a lot of schools in college that could attach to the biggest city next to them. Obviously,
sure.
Waco. Hell, they'd like to attach to Dallas and Fort Worth, or even go Austin.
Yeah.
It would. 3.5 hours from Houston, but you can't use that. But that, hey, everybody's trying to get their name out. Everybody know who might be available among the remaining 8. All right, 254-339-1128. Excuse me, 1122. 254-339-1122. A lot of text going in. The chat room is rolling. And Matthew Braz, unless you're a journalism student, you go to KU, not Missouri. I can't speak for that part, but yeah, Missouri's got an incredible history with their journalism department. All right, let's go to the calls. Armstrong?
All right, we got Steve from Oregon, I believe.
Steve, thanks for the call in Oregon. Home of the Ducks or the Beavers? Which one for you?
Oregon State all the way.
All right. I did ask you about the Beavers. I didn't just take it for granted. Thanks for your call. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what you guys think is the best interests of both the Pac-12, some of the remaining Big 12 teams, and college football as far as options and structure. I personally think that Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Baylor, and TCU would make an awesome pod for a Pac-16. I also think, if they made that move, it wouldn't take long for the Big Ten and the ACC to also get to 16 teams each, and we'd probably just settle on a 4x16 structure, for maybe at least 12 to 15 years, perhaps, but eventually, that could get consolidated down to two conferences under one structure, and potentially adding a few more teams to take it to 68 teams. But what I love about 64 or 68 teams overall is every team would be in the big dance and hoops every year. You just break free. If it was 68, you keep the first 4, and it's still the same thing. And what's the point to only making the big dance once every 10, 15 years if you can make it every year? But I really like the idea of, if we got to that eventual structure, I just think it's going to be very important for some of these western half of the country teams, if they're allied with the Big Ten, potentially, and the ACC is more with the SEC, that some Texas teams for those markets will be critical to have the balance and all that. So I really think a Pac-16 that has a few Texas teams, opens up all those markets. You want all these Texas population centers tuning in every week for football, and their only choices are going to be SEC or Pac-16 because you've got 3 Texas teams. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, we've heard a lot about the Pac-12 and the fact that TCU and Baylor are not a fit because of the religious part of it, that's one thing. I would love that kind of alignment. I would love that just because I know that would be different with our time zones or whatever. But I don't think TCU and Baylor are going to be invited by the Pac-12. Now, maybe some sort of alliance when it comes to scheduling. Yeah, then it's a different animal. And as someone said, if you think Texas fans are crybabies or whiners or whatever, which we didn't say, then wait, or arrogant, that's what it was, arrogant, then wait till you deal with USC and Stanford or Cal. But again, that we digress. Craig?
I don't know. I'll still take the UT in that fight, quite honestly, although I haven't experienced the others personally. But I don't know. I'm pretty confident in Texas ranking there.
It might be like 400-meter hurdles.
Yeah. When did you get here?
Yeah. Just a second ago. Right. It might be like that 400-meter hurdles last night.
Yeah, quite possibly. But in all seriousness, I think, these Pac-12, Big 12 talks are really interesting. And the scenario you laid forth, it makes a lot of sense for, geographically covering certain areas and, perhaps introducing some new eyeballs. But there is, that potential hurdle as far as what the Pac-12 would be willing to do in terms of who they brought on. Now, hey, maybe it's not Baylor, TCU, and maybe it's Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. And like you said, it's some other combination. Maybe they even take a couple from the Big 12 and they take a, couple of the Power 5. I don't know, like a Houston or something if they're really wanting to get into that market. But, I think anything's on the table. So your scenario makes sense. Other scenarios make sense. It really just boils down to what these conferences actually want to do. I know that Texas Tech and Oklahoma State and others are hoping those are the types of scenarios that are actually going to take place because that would put them in on a lot more solid footing. Last week it was the Pac-12 and the Big 10 talking. This week it's the Big 12 and the Pac-12 talking. So I'm not sure really what to believe other than the Pac-12 is certainly doing its due diligence in terms of checking every possible box that they could potentially fit into or bring on board. So sure, yeah. I'm good with the idea. Don't know how realistic it is, but we'll see what the Pac-12's motives are here over the next few months.
All right, 254-339-1122. Paul Catalina has joined us, SicEm365 Radio and 365 Sports. One of the and a lot more to get to with the text line and also your calls. But one of the stories, Paul, there's the commissioner, Bob Bowlesby's going to meet with the commissioner of the Pac-12, who to me is kind of like the Navy football coach, so it's just the Pac-12 commissioner. Mac will discuss this with me at 4:15 or so. When you saw that story, did that you kind of perk your attention a little bit?
Yeah, it shows that they're being proactive, and one of the tweets I saw, somebody sent us about Baylor, all these schools complaining about Texas not being all that great, but also not being able to subsist without them. Yeah, that's part of this, but it's also like Texas and Oklahoma stunted their ability to be proactive. We found that out yesterday because Bob Bowlesby, when asked, said, well, Texas and Oklahoma didn't want to expand, and Texas and Oklahoma didn't want to do this. So to get along with the big people in their conference, of course, they're like, well, if they don't want it, then how are we going to convince anybody else to do it? So again, they weren't proactive in wanting to do anything to change the league. And then when they decided the league wasn't good enough for them, they left. That's the issue.
Yeah, and that's why anybody talking about, well, if the Big 12 had done this, it wouldn't have mattered. They could have brought UCF, they could have brought Houston, they could have brought Boise, they could have stolen the Arizona. Like, they could have done whatever. It wasn't going to matter. Texas and Oklahoma were looking for an out, and that was made very clear yesterday. And if you guys remember, I did say last week, I'm very curious. I said I was very curious to see what Bob Bowlesby had to say about realignment and who was pushing the buttons as far as whether to go forward with that or not. And we come to find out, guess who was not wanting to expand? The two teams that are looking to leave. So, yeah, they were kind of in a no-win situation, and it makes you wonder, did Texas and Oklahoma have those types of motives 2 years ago? Did they kind of see the writing on the wall and know that they were going to be heading in a different direction, and therefore, yeah, I don't know, didn't want to invite any new members to the party while they were still around? I'm not sure, but, yeah, that was of note for sure from Bob Bowlesby. And, yeah, I said this earlier, Paul. I just wish this was the Bob Bowlesby. They would have been the commissioner for like the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and not the guy who kind of just like, I'll leave it up to this guy.
Well, I think he trusted the system too much.
Yeah, he did.
I think he trusted the system too much, and then obviously it wasn't going well. And the point in, we've always said, well, what do those schools do for you as a conference expands? And that was kind of the line we were fed from the Big 12. But to hear Bob Bowlesby explain it, in the time where they could have gotten a Big 12 network, the reason the Longhorn Network existed and they didn't expand and do all that is that most of the viewing audience is in Texas. The footprint is here. Mm-hmm. So back in the time when you were trying to expand your cable footprint before streaming became an issue, where you could have kind of locked this in, well, they didn't want to do that because of the Longhorn Network and because there's 27 million people here, 8 million people in the rest of the conference. Well, that was the time to do that, and Texas and Oklahoma were the ones who headed it off of the pass.
Paul Catalina, Irondale Heights approaches the desk out of nowhere like Randy Orton. By the way,
RKO out of nowhere.
I want to say this as well. Is that I did see a tweet, I saw a chat number about Baylor in the arena. Mac addresses that today, but I'll say this. Don't ever underestimate how much money they can put together, ever, no matter the television. Now, sure, if you're going to go from $37 million a year to 12 or 18 or whatever, yeah, that's going to make some changes. That's going to affect some things. But don't ever think about what they've been through over the last 10 years, and they have continued to build. They have the money. Would they like the money to come from somewhere besides just the alums and boosters, donors? Yeah. But don't ever underestimate the kind of money that they can put together.
Yeah, and I wasn't surprised that by the way, he had the quote of the day yesterday. I don't even think it was close that he had the quote of the day yesterday. But, I was surprised and yet not surprised because there's a lot of just trolls and quite frankly, just low IQ people on social media sometimes. And so some of them decided to try to rip apart Macarotes, or a lot of people are questioning the whole arena comment, like, oh, we're supposed to build your basketball arena for you. It's like that's not what he was saying at all. He was saying that before the collapse of the Big 12, he felt like they were going to be in the Big 12 for the next decade to 20, 30, 40 years. And so you feel like you can rely on a certain amount of money that's going to be coming in. All of a sudden, that's off the table, and therefore your plans change. And that's all he was saying was that clearly that Big 12 money was a part of what they were setting up to help finish off this arena. Now they can't rely on that, so it throws it up in the air a little bit. But I do agree they'll find it somehow or another, and I do think that his comment was almost like a call out to alumni and to boosters of like, hey, just in case you didn't know, it's still open for donations over here. Yeah. Like, that wouldn't surprise me at all either. But I think they'll find a way to get it done ultimately.
All right, it's 3:32. Let's take a break. By the way, we'll come back with another segment. 254-339-1122, the text line and the calls, and also the calls brought to you by BetUS. That code number is SicEm125. SicEm125, you get 125% off. Sign-up bonus, so BetUS, SicEm125. Also, at around 3:45, Jake Hatch covers Brigham Young. Mac Rhodes just after 4. So much to get to. This is SicEm365 Radio. Dr. Gunn, an Impact Research Institute, is trying to focus on the patients who have some sort of symptoms and also might have the problems of fatty liver disease. I went by their grand opening, the ribbon cutting last week, and got to see their office inside of the Fish Pond Medical Plaza. Cutting-edge clinical trials, world-class research studies with personal touch and over 2 decades of research experience. Waco Central Texas. It's called Impact Research Institute. And also, if you have conditions that can increase with fatty liver disease, for example, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol, why don't you get screened? Contact Dr. Gunn and her staff at Impact Research Institute. And they also are attached in a way because one of our other great sponsors, the name right behind us on this side, is Ideal MRI. They will do the MRI screenings, find out what's going on. I had one done a couple of months ago, came out crystal clear, everything was fine. I expected it to be okay, but you never know. This isn't about just as you get older. This isn't about whether you think you're in great shape. Everybody can be hit with fatty liver disease, some more than others. So it's Dr. Gunn and Impact Research Institute.
Make this the summer sales event is going on now at Allen Samuels with the all-new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Now arriving and in stock. This beautiful, rugged third-row seat carries the prestigious Jeep heritage. The 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo or Limited. You pick. Have total values of $2,750 or 0% for 48 months, plus $1,000 in bonus cash. Allen Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, the 901. What will happen to G5 teams that are not invited into one of the soon-to-be super conferences? Will they, because of a lack of revenue, be unable to compete and have to shutter their programs? They're not making a lot right now in the G5 conferences anyway, but if they make less, if there's nothing that at least stabilizes where they are now, right?
Well, I'll tell you where I think it hurts the most. It's not going to be in recruiting because that's going to remain pretty much as is, right? I mean, if you're Memphis and you've been recruiting like Memphis, you're going to continue to recruit like Memphis, unless you get a bump up and then you'll recruit a little bit better than you were. But if you're not going to, then nothing really changes there. It's not as though there's more teams being added to the power conferences right now. It's all the teams that are already there to begin with. So I think where your concern would come in would be, do they add some non-Power 5 teams and then you're left out that maybe are some of your rivals, then yeah, you could maybe see a little bit of a drop. But I think ultimately where it could hurt the most is, what about these non-conference games? What happens with these? We hear people say Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are going to continue to play. Okay, well, if that's the case, and Oklahoma plays what, an 8-9 SEC league schedule, they're going to play Oklahoma State too. What does that leave them with as far as their other two games? And so some of these non-conference games, and especially if we move to like the Super League stuff, well, then we're not going to see Oklahoma versus Tulsa. We're not. So that hurts Tulsa in a major way because that's several $100,000, if not $1 million for some teams. And a lot of those smaller programs do rely on that money. That's why they say, yes, we'll sign up to take an ass kicking because we're going to get $1 million out of it. And we need that money to make our program and our school work the way that it needs to. So that's the one thing that pops into my mind almost immediately in terms of, potentially programs shuttering or being directly affected by this would be that maybe some of those games go to the wayside and that money pool starts to dry up a bit faster.
254-339-1122. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina back in the neighborhood. I'm David Smoak, and we are on until
did you miss
tonight
us?
At 6 o'clock. Yeah, I did. Yesterday, I got to tell you, Friday, Craig, you were here to babysit me. Yesterday, I felt awfully lonely because Armstrong and Marquise, you were here yesterday, correct? Jack was here yesterday. Hayden disappeared. It was tough. But I heard Armstrong tell Marquise, I don't miss their knowledge. I just miss the fact they're not here.
Okay. No, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah. Is that true, Armstrong?
Yes. Yes. It's all very, very true.
So the 901, we responded to you on that.
I mean, don't you guys agree with that? That those games are important for those small schools.
Because those schools have to play Power Fives, autonomy, or whatever you want to call them, to keep themselves alive. And that's what's going to be interesting about super conferences, because if you're a super conference or whatever the thought is, that means you're not going to play. And with all due respect, Georgia Southern could beat some of the Power 5 teams. Or remember when Appalachian State stunned Michigan? I use that as an example. Or whoever. If you don't get those games, and last year some of those games were canceled because some went conference only, that hurts, man. That does hurt you, whether it's $250,000 or $1 million.
I would think that schools like Bethune-Cookman, Jackson State, those schools that are in the FCS, the FCS might have to go to a spring-only model just so that the television contract would go up.
And
because they wouldn't. I mean, that would be the thing. Is like, hey, will you give us more money for TV if we don't play against the big schools since we can't do it anymore?
And I wonder, is this going to be an addition of Oklahoma and Texas and then everything just stays as is? Like, I mean, is there a chance that the SEC just pretty much remains the way that it is, and so we still get like those late season games against the Jackson States or teams like that? Or is it going to be more driven into being every single week, every single game is a name game, even if it's one of the lower schools in the SEC, that's still an SEC school, that's still a name? Or are they going to still have that little bit of a break in the schedule where you can go beat up on somebody and not have to use your starters for all 4 quarters? I don't know. I don't know where Greg Sankey kind of is towing that line right now, and obviously the dust is still very much in the air and hasn't settled, so that would obviously play a major role in and what those games could look like in the future. But, yeah, that's immediately where my mind goes. And I don't know if it would be enough to shutter some programs, but I think it could do some significant damage.
636, real quick question. Did Mack Rhodes show up yesterday? No, that hearing lasted longer than I want to even talk about. He will be with us today at 4:15.
All right, let's go to Howard in Oregon. Just a second, let Armstrong reposition himself. Howard, thank you. Go ahead.
You got me addicted to your show. I love your show, especially when Dave gets all cranked up.
Yeah, then I got to take a blood pressure pill. But Howard, great to hear from you.
Hey, it's good to hear from you guys too. I've been avid listening to your shows every day. And I was just like listening to this stuff, and I think I told you guys that I was working in Little Rock. I live in Oregon, but I'm an Arizona alumni, a U of A alumni. And I was thinking about this time thing. When I was living in Little Rock, and Arizona was going through the baseball thing and the women's softball thing, they were both doing fine, and they were playing games at High Corbin Field and Hildebrandt Field over in Tucson, and the games were starting at 7 and 8 o'clock, and I had to work like the next day. So I had to start watching them at 10 o'clock at night, Central Time. And that was kind of a pain in the butt, because they'd be over at 12:31 in the morning. Now, I was thinking about this. If the Pac-12, which I'm an avid supporter of and fan of, includes all of the Big 12, you're going to have two of the worst Power 5 football teams in the America squaring off, Kansas and Arizona, and I'm a big Arizona fan. I'm a huge Arizona fan. Who in the heck is going to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning and watch that fiasco? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think I solved your arena problem over at Baylor. I got to inject a little humor into this conversation. You know what you need to do? You need to get Phil Knight to get his doctorate at Baylor. That guy, well, do you know his history?
Yeah.
Numerous years ago, he took out his checkbook and wrote Oregon a check for the athletic department for $300 million. And then he wrote Stanford a check for $150 million, one for his bachelor's, one for his master's. Then, years later, he built Oregon, the Matthew Knight Arena. It's a state-of-the-art basketball. That's what you need, right? A basketball arena. Yeah. Get him a doctorate. And then recently, he wrote another check for some type of sports building. I don't know what it is. I couldn't quite make it out. I think, to study some sports stuff to make better athletes. But that's what you need to do. You need to get Phil Knight a doctorate at Baylor. He'll write you a check for $600 million. You'll have a new arena.
That'd be nice.
Thank you, Howard.
I tell
Appreciate
you what, folks at Baylor.
Yeah, or Elon Musk, right? One of the two. Go back and get another part of a degree or whoever it might be.
He's just down the road quite often. He's just down the road at SpaceX. I mean, that's not far away at all. What was that, about half hour?
Yeah.
About a half hour from here. But yeah, Phil Knight apparently just recently in the last month gave $500 million to Oregon to help the university launch the second phase of the Phil and Penny Knight campus for accelerating scientific impact. So yeah, just recently he dropped a big $500 million to Oregon, and he's in the billions as far as his donations to the Ducks go. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a Phil Knight, but I think the arena thing will get squared away soon enough.
All right, let's take a break here. We're going to come back with Jake Hatch. He covers Brigham Young to get their perspective. Tomorrow, West Virginia again, and also USC. I was told it's not Southern Cal. I just think Southern Cal sounds better, but if that's not how they call it, that's not what they say. It's like when I said Central Florida, and UCF fans just crush me. So, okay, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and just real quick to this point about the time zones, I mean, that is something that they would have to figure out logistically. I don't know what the plan is there, but yeah, it's hard to imagine West Virginia and, Arizona doing battle at 1 o'clock in the morning, Pac-12 after dark. That'd be rough.
All right, when we come back, Jake Hatch on Brigham Young, Mack Rhodes in about a half an hour. This is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Mart, and Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps and convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. They've got the first mobile app where you can do your banking wherever you are, check balances, make transfers, pay bills, and transfer funds. I actually used it while I was on the road in Tennessee. It's the First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
All right, we have heard from a lot of you, whether it's calls, texts, chat, whatever, email, Twitter, on many of the other schools. And hey, what about this, or what about them, or what about us? And, you know, we checked in yesterday with West Virginia and UCF. And today we check in with Jake Hatch. He covers everything Utah, but also does a great job. When the Baylor-Brigham Young game was announced, Jake was one of ours, along with the fact Jeff Grimes and Eric Mateo's hirings as well. Jake, thanks for your time. There's so much that is said, maybe perception or otherwise, with Brigham Young. right now, what do they want? What do they expect? And what do they think is going to happen with the landscape change in college football and how it affects the Cougars?
Well, first thing, thanks for having me on. But I think the biggest thing for BYU right now is they want to be a Power 5 program. They have made no bones about that in my conversations with people down there in Provo. They would love to be a Power 5 program, and they've been working for that. The opportunity has not presented itself to this point, and maybe finally in this new round of realignment, maybe this will finally be the chance for the Cougars.
Do there things like not playing on Sundays or anything like that present any roadblocks for people, or is that conjecture?
The Sunday play issue, I think, is going to be an issue because BYU will not bend on that. They will not play on Sundays. That's something they've made very clear over the years. There are rules in place for the NCAA tournament in men's basketball and women's basketball, for example, that will exempt BYU from having to play on a Sunday. It forces the selection committee, should the Cougars be in either of those tournaments, they have to play that Thursday, Saturday format. And it would also necessitate a movement of the Final Four if there were to be played on Sunday. So it's something that BYU will not bend on. And I do think it would be an issue for certain conferences because you have to work around the Cougars in that instance.
You know, obviously the Big 12 has looked at expanding before, and BYU is one of those schools that was mentioned along the likes of Cincinnati and Houston and others just a couple of years ago. What's your impression of where talks kind of have been with BYU and other Power Fives, in particular the Big 12, and what kind of the message has been in relation to why they haven't yet been able to receive one of those types of invites?
I think, honestly, the biggest thing is BYU just has not found an opportunity to find the right fit for them. Because, like I mentioned, the Sunday play issue is always going to be a thing that BYU will have to deal with regards to a Power 5 conference. So whether that is the Big 12 or, let's say, the Pac-12, if they were to come calling, BYU would say, yes, we are interested in joining your conference, but here's what we will not bend on. And that Sunday play issue is really the overarching thing. And if a conference can get over the fact that they may have to rearrange schedules to play BYU on all Saturday games with regards to the what we call Olympic sports, men's and women's basketball and the like, then I think it would work out. I honestly don't think BYU is going to really have an issue outside of that Sunday play issue. I know that sounds like a broken record, but really I think that's the one hard and fast thing that BYU will not bend on.
So what would they rather have? To me, obviously, the Big 12 right now is diminished with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, but there's an opening there, or whatever it might be. The Pac-12, I mean, they're trying to figure themselves out, the new commissioner, or whatever. They would rather be in the Pac-12. Is that just like an obvious answer, or is there interest that if, in fact, the Big 12 reached out, they would say yes?
Okay, if they had their druthers, if they could pick where they would go, they probably would pick the Pac-12, considering its access to the West Coast. There's a large membership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They're sponsoring institution. There are a lot of members on the West Coast. So, yes, if they had their choice, they'd probably prefer the Pac-12. But the Pac-12, based on everything that I understand, has made it very clear they will not admit a religious institution into that conference. We'll find out. There's been those rumors out there today with regards to the Big 12 and Pac-12. Well, I know that CCU and Baylor, as you guys cover, have religious affiliations. That may put that whole notion to the test. But if the Big 12 were to call BYU and say, hey, love to have you be a part of the Big 12, I think BYU would say, yes, we're interested. Let's do this.
Do you think that the Pac-12 is probably going to, in the face of all this, maybe amend some of its previous biases?
They may have to. I think it's all dependent upon what they think is in their best interest moving forward. The move by Texas and Oklahoma to go to the SEC is really, I think, put a warning shot across the bow of conferences like the Pac-12. They're probably looking at their options right now. And George Kliavkoff, he's a brand new commissioner, literally just took the job last month. He's got some huge decisions staring him in the face, and he'll have to go to those presidents, the chancellors of the Pac-12 schools and say, okay, here's where we stand. Here's what we have to work with. And it may necessitate, yes, they may have to adjust some of their pre-existing notions.
Jake Hatch again, Locked On Cougars. He also covers quite a bit of whatever else is going on, including the Utah Jazz, who just drafted or traded for the drafted Jared Butler, the former Baylor star.
Mm-hmm. So we know what it was like around here in the state of Texas when the Texas and Oklahoma news dropped like a bomb from the sky. What was the reaction in Provo? Because obviously, as we're talking to you right now, BYU could be impacted, and all of college football will be impacted by OU and UT's decision. To what extent, we don't know just yet, but how much of a shockwave did that send through to the BYU fan base?
I would say it was about a tidal wave, because there are a lot of BYU fans who are sitting here and have been hoping and praying that BYU would get that chance to go Power 5. They've been waiting over a decade as an independent program for that opportunity. They saw their arch rival, Utah, get an invite to the Pac-12 back in 2010. And BYU fans, anytime these rumors have kicked up with regards to any Power 5 conference doing a realignment, and in particular the Big 12, BYU fans take to it like catnip. They absolutely love this stuff.
Jake, all right, I just mentioned Jared Butler. Obviously, Utah has the Lindsays that help, Dennis that helps run the franchise, and now got Royce O'Neal. Now there's Jared Butler. It's kind of becoming Baylor Northwest, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Dennis Lindsay was the executive vice president of basketball operations until recently stepping down to take on an advisory role. But the connection between the Jazz and Baylor is extremely strong. Jazz fans absolutely love Royce O'Neal. The response to getting Jared Turner was overwhelming in the positive. They're really looking forward to seeing what Jared Turner does. It sounds like he'll be suiting up for the Jazz, hopefully in the Summer League down there in Las Vegas next week, but they got to wait for that trade to become official once the NBA moratorium ends.
Jake, thank you. Appreciate your time. Jake Hatch, Locked On Cougars, and we'll have you on. Hey, don't you let, I know you had to hang up. That's okay. Going up against the top of the hour, we'll hear from Jake the week of Baylor and Brigham Young in Waco when they play that in middle of the year, kind of a later non-conference game than we normally would see in the Big 12.
Yeah, and he sounds like he'll be a very valuable double dipper for us, because not only can we talk BYU and obviously they have a game against Baylor, but they might be Big 12 housemates in the foreseeable future. And of course, Maceo Teague also with the Jazz.
Yeah.
He got that Exhibit 10 contract or whatever it's called. So he'll have at least an opportunity. But yeah, definitely some Baylor flavor on that Jazz basketball team as well. So yeah, good guy to have on the line.
For those of you on the chat room, on the YouTube channel 365 Sports, thank you. Also, the text line. I just had a text about a couple of things that someone just noticed. He just started watching us. Had a text just now from somebody. So what did he say? I'm 25 years old from New Jersey. Would you try to compare what's happening now to what happened to the old Southwest Conference when they disbanded? Is there any similarity whatsoever with now?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit. It's different. It's different things, because when the Southwest Conference disbanded, part of the problem was they were kind of all at each other's throats. Well, I mean, they were all at each other's throats very publicly because of all the scandals that had gone on at places like SMU. A&M had some probation issues.
TCU struggled.
TCU,
had some
all
issues.
that. So they had all those different things. And when the SWC disbanded, the first thing that happened was Arkansas left and went to the Southeast Conference. A&M wanted to go to the SEC then.
Southeastern.
Yeah.
They get in trouble if you don't
the
say
Southeastern.
that. Yeah.
The Southeastern Conference. They wanted to go there then. But they did not, because the state of Texas, the governor, Ann Richards, and the Lieutenant Governor, Bob Bullock, made sure that Texas A&M stayed together and that Baylor and Texas Tech were included in the Big 12. And so, yeah, there's governor influence. There's lots of similar things. I think the biggest difference, though, now is the government can't do anything to stop it, because when the last realignment happened when Texas A&M left, the governor was an A&M grad and former Yale leader, and now the governor now is a Texas graduate, and they're not going to stand in the way. It's not going to happen, as where Ann Richards was a Baylor grad. Bob Bullock, I don't know if he was Texas Tech or just he had some ties there, and they made sure that those schools were taken care of. Unfortunately for the Big 12.
But it really never happened before. That doesn't mean that some conferences did not, in fact, kind of, I guess, expand or add some people, whatever else. But I do know this. It was a different time. It's 20-something years ago. The Southwestern Conference had been ravaged by teams that had gotten in trouble because of recruiting violations. The Big 8 was solid as a rock, but they also missed a little bit of that, the eyeballs, and people started to talk about that, the markets, even though Oklahoma's always been strong in DFW. Everyone else, you know?
Well, another common theme is how much TV rights matter in this, because TV rights had a lot to do with the Southwest Conference as well. I mean, you're right that there was only 3 schools, Baylor was one of them, that did not have some major scandal during that time period in the Southwest Conference. That means nearly everybody in the conference had something going on, with SMU obviously being the most high profile. But there was the NCAA versus the Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma, and that was all about institutions selling their media content. And once it was ruled that institutions could sell their media content, so that's where OU's kind of a leader in the college athletics shifting landscape. And here they are all these years later, and they're part of this massive move along with Texas. But schools and athletic conferences then were able to go to CBS or ABC and say, like, hey, how much, for that? And that changed everything. I mean, because what are we talking about right now? What's pushing the change for Texas and Oklahoma to join the SEC? Media rights, TV rights. Yep. So that was a big final straw, was that court decision, and you see how it's still having ramifications all these years later. So there's another slight similarity.
All right, we got to come back with a couple of things. And there's a note about the Carolina Panthers, former Baylor head coach Matt Rule. They dismissed a player today because of a hit in practice that left the player out for a while. Also, Robert Griffin III posted a video of throwing the football against a wall to get himself kind of keep himself. You now have what happened with Indianapolis and Carson Wentz. There's a couple of teams maybe looking around. So we'll have that for you, plus more from you. 254-339-1122. We have to, no matter what, hit Mac Rhodes at 4:15 today, or the rest of the show is completely off the rails, which sometimes that's my fault, and sometimes it's not. This is SicEm365 Radio.
And sometimes it is not. Life is back, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, NBA, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up for their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BET-US. BetUS for 125% bonuses with our promo code SicEm125. That means on any account, $100 and above, 125%. They're going to match that and pretty much double it. That's more than double it. I'm not good at math, but that's more than double. Customer service pros ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with a proven mainstay in the industry. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Use promo code SicEm125.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Rediscover the thrill of driving with power and exceptional handling and control in a new 2021 Cadillac from Richard Car Cadillac. Whether you drive the dynamic 2021 CT4 or CT5 sedan or the sporty and spacious XT4, XT5, or XT6 lineup of SUVs, starting at only $32,900, the Cadillac of your dreams is waiting now to make your 2021 an exceptional year at an affordable price. Test drive from the expansive selection at Richard Car Cadillac or let us bring a test drive to you. Go to richardcarcadillac.com to schedule a test drive today.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Looking to get to the edge, and he gets there. There goes Abner into plus territory. One man to beat. How about a Baylor touchdown to open our second half? 100 yards to the house.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. We mentioned earlier Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby will meet with Pac-12 Commissioner and discuss a few things that's going on today. We'll hear and ask Mac Rhodes a little bit about that. He joins us in the next segment. Paul, let's go.
All right, let's go to Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, didn't get your name, but you're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, guys. My name is Will from Memphis, and just kind of wanted to get you guys' take on, I kind of heard you mention it a little bit earlier with somebody from 901 on the text line, but kind of like you don't have to go from Memphis perspectives. I think with all the conference realignment, mostly everybody here kind of thinks that internally they've kind of got it all figured out, and they're gonna do what's best for them and kind of get themselves in the best position to move forward from all of this stuff. But a lot of other fans, you don't have to go back too far in Memphis football history, a little over a decade when joined the Big East, and then that fell through, and almost 9 years ago it was we as a program, we had 3 wins in 2 years. So a lot of the doormat of college football kind of living in memory of Memphis football fans because it wasn't that long ago. And I just kind of wanted to get you guys' take on what could all this mean for like a school like Memphis, who's not necessarily like one of those stereotypical college towns, and like what this could mean for chances for schools like us to get into not necessarily a Power 5 conference, but into like maybe the American, absorbing in some other teams, or if there is something out there, if the Big 12 does stay together, maybe they take UCF and Memphis, or UCF and Houston and Memphis, or Cincinnati, Memphis, some other things. Just kind of want to get you guys' take on that, because I know there's a lot of people here in Memphis who are kind of worried on that front.
Toby, is this Toby?
Will.
Oh, I'm sorry, because the 901, I got a text from the 901. It's Toby that asked kind of almost somewhat similar. I like Memphis. I'm on record. We remember we had the guest, the analyst, the reporter that covers. I love Memphis. I know that maybe that's not some kind of I would love to see Memphis be a part of the Big 12. I really would.
I think the other thing that Memphis could bring to the Big 12 would be FedEx. I mean, that's a sponsor. That's a huge sponsor. It's a company that's only getting bigger as the Postal Service struggles. So FedEx has money to help out and sponsor Big 12 type things. So again, I said that back, when Memphis was on the list for expansion. In the charade that Texas and Oklahoma pulled a few years ago, Memphis was a good one just because of that.
I think that Memphis is actually kind of in an okay position as far as wait and see right now goes, because they're in a stronger conference than the Big 12 in terms of just, what's in place right now. They are not Power 5, so they are not as strong a conference as the Big 12 in that regard. But was it not the AAC that was apparently behind the grand plans of ESPN, the one that was going to soak up the Big 12 remaining members?
According to reports, yeah.
If you're Memphis, and that's the case, it's clear that ESPN has some motivation to keep the American as successful as possible. That, for one, I would take as good news. It doesn't appear that they're looking to break that thing up and then, sell off the parts that aren't any good and then, move the ones that are to another SEC-style conference. So I think from that standpoint, the AAC is really healthy. Now, as far as wanting Power 5 status and all that, I think it comes down to availability and the number of spots, and we don't know how many spots are going to be available. There might be some Power 5 editions that drop down. There might be some non-Power 5s that jump up. It's just going to be a matter of what these conferences are actually looking for. So I think ultimately Memphis is definitely on the outside looking in with the current arrangement, even with these shifts, because the shifts are still only including the bigger teams that we're talking about. They're not even talking about the mid-level teams, much less the non-Power 5 teams. But I would take some saving grace in that ESPN and the American are clearly on the page together. They're clearly going to move forward with that conference and try to build it up. And so that would be, I guess, the saving grace for me, because right now, no, I don't see a Power 5 spot available for the Tigers.
All right, you got time. Make it quick. We have to go. We have to make this quick. Don't want to rush you, but thanks for your call. Go ahead, Paul.
All right, let's go to Lane in Utah.
Lane, good afternoon. Thanks for your time.
Actually, this is... Hey, yeah, good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Actually, my name is Jake.
Sorry.
Anyway, I'm not going to... That's okay. I'm not going to get into that. I just wanted to share my opinion on BYU joining the Big 12, and I think that it's a good idea in some ways, and then I think it's a bad idea for the Big 12 in some ways. Mostly because it being, it's good because of the Mormon faith. The Mormon faith is all throughout the world and throughout the country, and so they're going to be able to attract a lot of media, but I think that they're not playing on Sunday, and their honor code is where I think it's a bad idea for the Big 12.
Jake, thanks for your call. Look, but the Big 12 has honor, like the Big 12 has honor codes in other schools. There's one here at Baylor, and BYU probably enforces theirs a little more strictly than most other schools, but I think that's all PR stuff ultimately that they're going to have to deal with, and wherever BYU goes, Baylor's going to have problems because of LGBTQ issues that they continue to deal with, and because of their honor code and all that. But eventually, I do think that schools are going to have to look. Part of also growing and accepting is maybe if you've got some schools that don't agree with you on the level, maybe if you reached out and did something with them and worked together in a partnership, maybe you could come to some sort of understanding.
Yeah, Baylor, you speak of those LGBTQ issues, and that's something that President Livingstone has really taken head on and tried to address and tried to change and listen and make some corrections. It's kind of hard to do exactly because there is the whole honor code and the rules of the school and all that were established so many years ago. But Baylor certainly opened the doors a lot wider than they ever were before. So I don't think, like Paul said, with their issues that BYU's honor code would be that much of an issue to prevent them from getting Big 12 status. It sounds like, based on the BYU guy we just had on a few minutes ago, that Sunday game is really like the big major hang-up, and I don't see why that should be that major of a hang-up. How often are we watching games on Sundays anyway?
The only time you ever see games on Sunday
it's like hardly
at
ever.
The start of the year when there's a couple of games highlighted by one of the networks.
I would think it'd be a bigger deal for track.
Right.
Something like that, track and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't see where that would be an issue. So, I don't think the honor code thing would be a problem whatsoever. And sometimes we got to kind of open our minds and understand that not everybody thinks the exact same way. You know what I mean? And not that the way you think can't – like basically what I'm saying is Baylor obviously had some outdated issues, and they have opened their minds a little bit. I'm sure BYU's not going to budge too much, but I think other members might be open-minded enough to not have an issue with welcoming in a school that has their own set of rules like
that. All right,
that.
this is what we're going to do the rest of this hour. Mac Rhodes is going to blow out the rest of this hour. When we come back, conversation with Baylor's Director of Athletics on many things about the last week or 2 weeks, about yesterday in Austin, about Baylor, about the rest of the remaining 8, about many things, Bob Bowlesby, whoever else. That's going to be next. 5 o'clock hour, we're going to talk Cowboys with David Hellman, NFL with John McClain, and most likely add another segment in there somewhere. Coming up, conversation with Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mac Rhodes, on SicEm365 Radio. Marco's Pizza. That's probably something that the interns want me to order right now because I can hear their stomachs talking. And my God, Armstrong never gets enough food, and he never gets enough pizza, and he never gets enough Marco's Pizza. 3 locations in Waco. Marco's Pizza in Belmead, Marco's Pizza in China Spring, and also Marco's Pizza in Woodway. We call them all the time. I actually, most of the time, I'll order online. It's right here. They're fantastic at what they do. Bob Mock, of course, is the man that runs Marco's Pizza, and pizza lovers get it at marcos.com. Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
It's time for some high school football. Berg Colgan Ford proudly celebrates the Panthers, Cadets, Lions, and all the Central Texas football teams as they march their way through the season and down the field. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Berg Colgan Ford. We'd love to show you our Broncos, Raptors, and Mustangs. These vehicles are winners with their sporty options and designs. Nominate who you think deserves the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week at FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com. Visit us anytime at BKFord.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Grant Dideker, under the umbrella of Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, McLennan County agent. When you contact people about insurance, and people are hit up with it all the time, what do you tell them? What do you say? I know you say you educate, but Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is obviously successful for a lot of different reasons. Right. And has hundreds of thousands.
It's personal service. Okay. It's one-on-one service. Just yesterday, went to a client's house, met with a couple, went over all the coverages, and they said, wow, we've, never had this before. We've had this different insurance and that different insurance, but we've never had somebody actually come to the house and go over everything with us. And wow, we really appreciate that, especially this day and time where it's just a click of a button and you really don't know who you're dealing with. It's a different person you call every time you call that 800 number. You don't know who your agent is. Now they have a face with the name, and it's more personal service.
Grant Dideker, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, McLennan County agent. If someone wants to contact you, just straight on your cell phone?
Yep, 254-265-0442.
Grant Dideker, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, a McLennan County agent.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhodes is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Baylor Athletic Director of Athletics Mack Rhodes with us on SicEm365 Radio. So, did anything really get accomplished, Mac, yesterday at Austin? Did anything that will help the Big 12, help Baylor, help others, did anything really come out of that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and probably still trying to candidly process that. I do think just educating all that were present in terms of how this went down, and then quite frankly the ramifications of it, and particularly for the three institutions. I do think that was eye-opening for many. I think in the future, are there I don't know, is there legislation put in place? Is there rules put in place in terms of how things of this nature that impact so many are decided, or is there a different step process to go through? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. What happens from here. It's certainly and we certainly knew that going in. It wasn't meant to keep Texas from going to the SEC. I think we all knew that and understood that. I think it was trying to learn more about how it all transpired, and then how maybe this can be better handled in the future, and then is there anything that our political leaders can do to assist the Big 12, help three Texas institutions, etc.
What are your thoughts about Bob Bowlesby saying that he and the commissioner of the Pac-12 will meet? Whether that is to form a scheduling alliance, is it the possibility of looking down the road as a different conference or a joining conference, or what? What are your thoughts about what might happen, and how excited are you that they're at least talking?
Yeah. One, it's not my place to confirm whether they're talking or not, but I would say that's what your commissioner is supposed to be doing, right? We're counting on the commissioner. We're counting on Bob to provide some direction and some different options, pathways, right? I don't think you can just focus on one. I think that for us, for Baylor, for the remaining 8, for the 3 Texas schools, right? Looking at a variety of options, and the conversation, again, I'm not going to confirm, but if that conversation happened between the commissioner and the Pac-12 commissioner, I would say, yeah, kudos to Bob, because he needs to be exploring all of those options, and I know he's doing that, and we'll continue to do that.
Should that have been something that was going on even well before either Texas and Oklahoma became disgruntled with what the conference is like?
Well, how do you know it wasn't? Look, I think, the truth of the matter was, there were probably, more conversations and thoughts and strategy about future, and then COVID hit. And then I think every conference, was just engulfed in that, and trying to find a way to to make sure our student athletes could compete, in a healthy way. And then I think, changing commissioners, three of the five, had changes, and going through those transitions. I do think that, the Big 12 is in the midst of some strategy discussions. I don't know that there was anything more. And when you think about 2025 COVID, I think we were. I think the commissioner and the conference was engaging in exploring different ideas.
Do you believe, Mac, and you hear a lot about why Texas and Oklahoma are leaving? We know what they are looking at, the possibility of massive amount of money. They are saying, and in fact, yesterday, the stability of the future business a product of the athletics departments. Do you believe that Texas and Oklahoma tried to help make the Big 12 even better, other than the fact that both of them were a part of the conference?
Well, I appreciate you asking that question. It's a great question, and it's a question that I'd be asking. It's a question that if I were a person able to ask questions yesterday, I would have asked. I think candidly, I do. I believe that they could have done more. I believe that they could have really been part of the solution. And some of the conversation was just the value of Texas and Oklahoma to the Big 12, and that's not unlike any of the other conferences. When you think of you can go from this conference to the other 4 Autonomy 5 conferences, and there are 2 or 3 anchors in every one of those conferences, and so I guess in the end I would have liked some more transparent conversation. How can they be part of the solution? And quite frankly, if they were unhappy or they felt like Big 12 not stable, to have those conversations with our commissioner prior to having any conversations with another conference. And maybe they did, but that's certainly not my understanding.
But if they had at least been more transparent of what they were looking at, even during some of the negotiations or talks about TV revenue, grant of rights, or whatever, would the reaction still have been the same from Bowlesby and the 8 remaining schools of how the hell can you do this and why are you doing this? If they would have said, listen, Bob, we're not just talking about some ideas. We need bullet points right now. Would that have helped lessen the impact or maybe the animosity at all?
Yeah, I do. And, it certainly would have, given the conference, given, the other 8 member institutions to prepare for the inevitable, or work together in terms of how can we be creative, how can we make this work in the future. I don't want to speak on behalf of the other 7, but I do strongly believe that that would have felt better for all of us.
You made the comment about that you mistakenly considered the Big 12 Conference as something of a family. I know how you look at Baylor across the board, all the different student athletes, the university, athletic department, whatever else, is that the way you thought the Big 12 was in your terms of family? Is that what hurts right now, if that's the right word to use?
Yeah, I think that, I think all of us believed, and when I say all of us, I certainly thought all 10 and certainly 8, because of the conversations we had together, the 10 of us, right? And because of the comments and the types of discussions we had, certainly felt and believed that there was a strong sense of unity. In fact, I think I've been on your on the broadcast, even stating that the Big 12 is in a really good place, unity, all of those things. All 10 athletic directors, in a good place with each other. All 10 presidents, chancellors, in a good place with each other. And I really felt like, I think we all felt like, the attitude was, yes, we're all individually doing everything we can, what's best for our own programs, but we all understood too that, the sum of the parts is much greater than any individual. And I do think, when we were on a national stage, the Big 12 national stage, we were actually rooting for one another, because that's what was best for our conference. And again, that's probably why, again, for the 8 of us, probably why it stung.
Does that now mean, and do you truly believe now, because there are 8 teams now remaining with their athletics future on the line, whether it's Power 5, autonomy, whatever you want to say, do you believe right now that all 8 are like what you thought the Big 12 is like, knowing that nobody really has much more to offer than the other person? That doesn't mean they don't have anything to offer, whether it's West Virginia, Iowa State, Tech, or whoever. Do you feel like now that the 8 have rallied around each other and they truly are telling the truth about how they feel and what they want, and that they are together to keep this thing alive?
Yeah, I think right now, yes. I think the 8 are in a good place in terms of is there a pathway for us together, right? Is that the best pathway? What are those pathways? And so, yes, I do think there's a true sincerity, and when you think about, grant of rights not expiring until, spring of 2025, and at least Texas and Oklahoma being vocal, both presidents being vocal about staying in till 2025. The revenues associated with that, I think we've got some time to figure this out. The 8 of us. Now, look, I'm not naive enough, to know if something happens where all of a sudden there's not that optimism, then schools are going to go and default to what's individually best for them. But I think everybody's prepared to do all that they can to run out these ground balls, these different potential options that the commissioner is working on. And so, I think we're all together in that place. I know our Baylor family, they're obviously very, very concerned in terms of Baylor's fate. I can tell you nobody's more concerned about Baylor's future than Linda and myself and our board chair Roundtree, and our board of regents, and we're doing our due diligence as well.
You weren't around when the Big 12 was formed in 90. Well, it was formed before, but 96 their first year. And also, I believe you were at the beginning of when there was some discussion about expansion with some of the schools outside of the Big 12, and that did not work out. Do you think Rice or Houston or SMU have a right to look back at that legislative meeting yesterday and go, wait a minute, where was everybody 20 years ago? And or do you guys regret not expanding even if somebody didn't want to back 4 or 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah, I think to the first question, I mean, I have no idea. That was a long time ago. I think I was probably in Indiana. Amy and I were, and we had a 9-month-old daughter, Nicolette, and I was trying to get my master's, and so I'm sure that if you're in those shoes, whether it's Houston, whether it's Rice, and the demise of the Southwest, yeah, you're probably saying, hey, how come no one came to our rescue? Not that anybody's coming to our rescue right now, but I'm certain they could feel that way. And then and forgive me, the second part of the question
was when schools outside, you guys looked at the possibility of expansion. When that popped up yet again, was that now something that you wish would have happened, or is that just the ultimate armchair quarterback question?
So I wasn't the athletic director yet. I certainly heard about it, and I think and I could have the timing off, but I think when I was announced during the 12 media football days, I think that's when they were still in process of maybe interviewing some schools, and then it was shortly thereafter they made the decision not to add. I think the conference made the best decision that they could at the time with the different leaders in the room, and obviously they felt strong about 10 and the revenue and I think that's probably to be candid with you. If you look back and again from what I understand, and I'm trying to recall if I was in a meeting when we even talked about this, but I think what's probably disappointing for the 8 of us is my understanding that both of those institutions were strong about not adding, and that we're stronger as 10 than as 12, and 5 years later they've made a decision for their own reasons to leave, and I think that's probably disappointing for many.
You made a pretty stinging comment about the University of Texas about how they think of themselves in that testimony yesterday in front of the Senate. Is that something you wrote? Is that something you've been feeling for a while? Is that something that when you said it, did it kind of give you kind of a sense of relief, or did you know that eventually you would never get Christmas cards from Austin, Texas?
Well, I don't know that I was ever going to get a Christmas card from Austin, Texas before I said that. So, that changed that. But look, the point was intentional. I'm not trying to take shots at anyone, but hey, I believe that they could have been part of the solution, and we could have had an opportunity to really make the Big 12 something special, and obviously they didn't believe that. Decided that That's not what they wanted to do.
Mac, you have always been someone, since you arrived on campus in the middle of dark clouds, it seems like you have almost not so much that you want to thrive, that you look forward to this chaos, but the word is, it seems like you do thrive when things are like this, and you have faced numerous opportunities to face chaos at Baylor. How much does this mean to you to fight for Baylor right now? And really, for everyone else that's also involved, but your job is to fight for Baylor. How pissed off are you, excuse my language, or how much does this mean to you to somehow get this and help Baylor survive, to keep their Power 5 and autonomy standing?
Everything. I think in those comments that I wrote, they I was intentional where, I said and talked about, while I didn't like the circumstances that brought us together, I love the fact that I can, be there at the hearing to speak on behalf of the people that I deeply care about, the Baylor family. And so, it means everything to me. It means everything to me because I believe in this institution. I believe in this institution with all of my heart. Certainly not perfect. We know that. We've made our share of mistakes, but I think it's really healthy. I think it's really good for big time intercollegiate athletics to have a Christian university compete and compete really well at the highest level. You go back to, this year, 10 teams ranked in the top 10. Men's basketball wins the national championship, acrobatics and tumbling, all of those things. And so, and more than anything, I believe in our people. And I was very intentional when I talked about having, 48% of the budget that UT has. And we're finding a way to scratch and claw and compete. Again, not just compete, but compete at a really high level. And it's because of the people. I love our people, and I will go to battle for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I will. I love this. I love this opportunity. We're going to land in a good place, and we're going to do everything we can. We're going to be level-headed. We're going to be smart. We're going to be strategic. We're going to work our tails off. We've got a great president, a great board chair, a great board, great coaches, the best of the best in terms of student athletes. Our 220 full-time staff members, I'll put them up against anybody. We're going to fight, scratch, claw, compete, do everything we can, and we're going to be in a good place.
We don't know what's going to happen when Bob Bowlesby and the commissioner and the Pac-12 discuss whatever they do, and I know you say you got to kind of be careful what you can say or not. Do you feel, it's been almost 2 weeks now, 2 weeks tomorrow, when all hell broke loose with the story about Texas and Oklahoma and the SEC. And, of course, everything immediately, oh, my God, what's going to happen? It's kind of like one of those scenes in The Office, and it's happening or whatever, negatively or positively. Do you truly believe that Baylor will be a Power 5 team, program, athletic department, even well past the grant of rights?
Yes, I do.
What makes you say that? What makes you say that? Well, kind of what you just mentioned, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything that I think it's everything I talked about. I think what's interesting about that question is you think about the amount of change and shift just, within the last year when you think about name, image, and likeness and the Austin case, and of course it's been on our minds. It's been on our plates for the last couple of years, I guess. But there's been some big shifts in college athletics, and what does it look like in 2025? That's a long time from now, and so when you say Power 5, will there be Power 5? But I do think Baylor will have a seat at the table to compete at the highest level. I do. I believe that. I believe that God's gonna lead us, and we're gonna land in a great place. And I think collectively, as a team, we're gonna, like I said, fight and battle and scratch and be really strategic and smart about how we handle the future.
All the facilities, you mentioned the basketball arena, whatever it's going to be called, is everything. You had to place some things on kind of a hiatus because of COVID and the budget and the changes in the revenue. Is that now the case yet again with all of what you have planned in the football ops and also the basketball arena right now?
Yeah. One thing I want to say to the Baylor family. I mean, I'm very optimistic that we'll find a way for those projects to be completed. We have great donors and friends and family, and we may face a situation where we're gonna ask them or need them to do more. And they've already done a lot, and so grateful for that. But I do think that if called upon, our family has always responded positively, and we may need to do that. That's the reality of the situation. Just like COVID, reduced revenues. This lull, or the potential of maybe conference shift could change revenue, and so it's a reality that we have to deal with, and we'll sit. We're already reassessing, but I'm certainly not hitting the panic button, nor does anybody need to hit the panic button. We'll find a way.
All right, last thing, and I know that you're not asking anybody to feel sorry for you. You see all the back and forth with fan bases. Well, why do we have to carry so-and-so? And you mentioned that earlier in one of your answers about various conferences all have kind of those anchors compared to others. But you were on vacation when all of this went down. You've had to, and hey, that's part of your job. That's why you make the money you make, and that's part of being an AD at a Power 5. What has the last, I guess, since Wednesday afternoon, 2 weeks from yesterday or tomorrow, what has it been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be careful because I don't want people to feel like I'm exaggerating, and I'm not asking for anybody to have any sympathy. It's what I signed up for. It's my job, and I love it. So, period. End of story. But it's, as you can imagine, it's non-stop phone calls, starting, again, trying not to exaggerate. I was on Mountain Standard Time, so starting at 7 a.m., right? And, there were days where my last phone call was 11 p.m. And it's colleagues throughout the country. It's media folks. It's Zoom calls with board members, Zoom calls with select board members, conference calls, again, our donors and some of our donors, some of our alums. As you can imagine, Dr. Livingstone and I probably talking multiple times a day. And so it's just fast-paced nonstop, morning to night, and that's what it's going to take. And we're not losing. I can tell you that. We're going to continue to, like I said, continue to fight. Today is a strange day for me because it has been, again, probably 14 days nonstop. And today, after the hearing, there's been a little bit of a lull today, and just trying to figure out that lull and process it, and keep my mind in a good place. And I think the toughest thing hardest thing, just being transparent and candid, is staying off that roller coaster of emotion. One phone call is a really good phone call. The next phone call is not so good of a phone call, right? And just trying to be steady, trying to be resilient. I love the word relentless, and we're going to be relentless in the things that we control, and do everything we can to put Baylor in the very, very best position to continue to be and excel and be elite in terms of preparing champions for life. And despite all of our successes, thanks to our great coaches and student athletes and staff, I still remain steadfast that we have not hit our ceiling, not even close. Our best days are still ahead of us. I truly believe.
Have you had others in the business outside of ADs in the Big 12 tell you that hey, you guys have more than maybe people perceive at Baylor? Have you had anybody say that to you, or kind of give you a little bit of reassurance? Not that you've asked for it.
Yeah, I have. I mean, I think there's people that have great respect for what we've been able to accomplish.
Thanks, Mac. Appreciate your time. I know you gave me about 30 plus minutes more than you have in your schedule. Appreciate your time. Good luck.
Thank you. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mac Rhodes, on many things since 2 weeks ago tomorrow at about 2:30 or so, when Brett Zorneman had that story about Texas, Oklahoma, and the SEC. Back with more SicEm365 Radio and 365 Sports on YouTube. Ever since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has been in business no matter what's going on. For example, even the last year or so with COVID, no matter what's happened with the stock market, no matter who is in the White House, no matter what is going on with the economy or even technology as it changes things that they have and what they sell and distribute, and customer service, of course, since 1943. You cannot survive as a business, no matter what you sell, whatever product it might be, wherever you're located, if you don't have both the great customer service and product in Pioneer Steel and Pipe, metal, pipe, and also steel. And not only that, they will not only make sure you get what you need. If they don't have it, they'll find it. But 2 locations in Texas, both in Waco and in Bryan, open Saturday mornings, 8 to noon, if you can't get there through the week. Because it's heavy-duty equipment, product, whatever, they will deliver it to wherever your site might be, commercial or real estate, and on top of that, help you unload it. How can they help you? That's what they ask every single day. They don't want you to just buy from them once. They want you to come back many times, and apparently a lot of people have, because they've been in business since 1943. PioneerBoys.com.
Make the summer sales event as rocking at Allen Samuels with the 2021 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star with total values up to $5,250 or 2.9% for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. The 1500 Crew Cab has the top safety rating and is ranked #1 in full-size pickup trucks. Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
it's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house-cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy an elite tennis facility, but also to remain fit and reshape your body. And ahead of the curve with the explosion of interest in pickleball with instructors Joe Rosa and Jody Thurman and courts available. Like your body, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. Large flat screens stretched across the weight room with Wi-Fi available with their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports. Beautiful sound of members working out, running, lifting, stretching, group exercise classes throughout each day. Personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corby. New look bar and lounge area with beer and wine with large flat screens. New touchless water fountains outside of each locker room, and both include shower, sauna, and whirlpool, and a world-class tennis courts facility and youth academy led by Pro Britt Coleman. Fitness and tennis merchandise and a tanning bed. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
365 Radio, time to take a look at some stories that are a little bit off the radar or that we have simply not had time to discuss. Obviously, 2 hours in the books, and we basically talked nothing but college football this entire time, so there is some other stuff going on. What do you guys remember about the malice at the Palace?
I remember Ron Artest, the erstwhile Meta
rushing
World
into
Peace,
the stands,
getting a cup of ice thrown at him. I remember at that time it was weird that a fan would throw something at somebody. Now it seems to happen all the time.
Yeah, now it's pretty much commonplace,
it
right?
Is. Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, Netflix has a new series coming out called Untold, and it's going to be a multi-volume series that's taking a look into, the truth behind stories. And the first edition will be on the malice at the Palace. That will be coming out on August 10th on Netflix. I'm not sure what other sports-related shows will be. I think Caitlyn Jenner might be one of the other Untolds that they might be doing. I thought I saw that earlier.
I feel like I know enough.
Yeah, probably. But the Malice at the Palace, that's something that I remember. I was actually in Tallahassee. I was visiting my cousin Patrick, who was an FSU student. We were at a bar there in Tallahassee. It was packed to the gills. And I remember just looking up at the TV and just seeing nothing but brawl, a brawl in the stands, and just going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And yeah, it was a pretty big deal at the time. This year's not been a good year to really say, fan behavior has been at its best from what we've seen. But yeah, for those interested, that story, The Malice at the Palace, will be a part of Netflix's Untold series, and that'll be coming out on August the 10th. The NBA free agency frenzy is underway, and how about this? The Los Angeles Lakers have added Carmelo Anthony. He and LeBron James will be teammates. The Lakers agreeing to a one-year deal, according to his manager, Bay Frazier. So Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James and Anthony Davis and on and on and on.
Russ.
Russell Westbrook, Dwight Howard. I mean, it's going to be an all-star cast. Yeah. And Carmelo's now part of the mix.
Yeah, so they have Westbrook, LeBron, Davis, and Carmelo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, on paper, it's not exactly what it looks like, or on the court, it's not going to be exactly as it looks on paper because Carmelo's not the same guy that, he was. We think of him in his best days, but he still has something left. There's no doubt about that, and he will be a part of the Los Angeles Lakers, so it's been interesting to see, kind of the fallout from the draft and what moves are being made here and there. But, yeah, Melo and the Lakers, I'm sure that'll be a hot jersey seller, and like I said, him and LeBron get to play together, so we'll see if Carmelo can get a ring. Can he finally get a ring? And if not, he's just one of those guys that just wasn't meant to happen.
Well, I mean, the youngest guy on the team is Taylor Horton Tucker's 20, and then they got another guy who's like 26, and then everybody else is 32 and above.
Yeah.
They're an old team.
It's an older team. They're kind of striking while the iron's hot, but that is not a major signing really in any way other than name value. But it will be cool to see him alongside LeBron, given the two of their history. So one note there from the NBA. LSU quarterback Miles Brennan, this came out yesterday, but he suffered a left arm injury, and his availability for the upcoming season is a little bit in doubt. As LSU announced yesterday, he was their top passer last season. Only played, though, in 3 games and was still their top passer. And he's been competing with Max Johnson for the starting quarterback spot, but Ed Orgeron saying that he suffered a severe injury that will require surgery, his timeline yet to be determined, and that Miles had done everything asked of him and was in the fight to be the starting quarterback at LSU. So, yeah, you'll remember last year he got hurt in that Missouri game, and he's just kind of been plagued along the way. So now here he's got this big opportunity once again at LSU to maybe stay healthy, and it's just, one of those things. So we'll see when Miles Brennan is potentially able to return.
Didn't he just do an NIL thing? Didn't he? I saw he may be connected to a car dealership somewhere.
Yeah, I think I did see that, and I actually saw a lot of LSU fans who were saying, like, shoot, even if he can't play, let's get him some NIL deals. The kid deserves it. He's been through so much. Like, let's send him off on the right note, or at least do what we can for him.
Yeah. By the way, Max Johnson, son of Brad Johnson, former Buccaneers, Cowboys, Rams, Florida State, Lions. I think he played for the Lions. Vikings. He played for the Vikings. Played a lot of teams. Won a Super Bowl with the Bucs.
Yeah, he did. Do you remember the name from just a couple of years ago? Brew McCoy. Do you remember the big to-do over him?
Texas to USC, yes.
Yes.
Or USC to Texas, back to USC.
USC to Texas, back to USC. It was a major pull for the Longhorns when McCoy was able to get out of his signed national letter of intent. Then he goes to Texas and was not there very long and does, in fact, end up back at USC. And sometimes you wonder with these high-profile recruits if it's too much sometimes, all the effort that's put in and all of that. But given the back and forth, the tug of war, and all the talk about this kid, it might all be for naught and might have all been a complete waste, because as of yesterday, he had been suspended from team activities following an arrest last month on suspicion of domestic violence. 247 was the first to report it. LAPD confirmed he had been taken into custody back on July 24th on suspicion of intimate partner violence with injury, but did not have any further details. He'd already been released on bond and will have a court appearance in November. As of now, there have been no criminal charges filed against him by the LA County District Attorney's Office, but USC did release a statement. They talked about their Office for Equity, Equal Opportunity, said Title IX's reviewing it, and because of privacy laws, they couldn't say much more. But Brew McCoy's time with the Trojans, hard to imagine it's been nearly 3 years since he started at USC, and I know there's a lot of potential, in his body to become this great receiver, but it looks like the personality side of things might prevent that from ever happening. But man, there was such a thing over him.
That was almost Ryan Perrilloux-esque.
Yes,
And the thing is that guys like that, like Ryan Perrilloux he had a career. I mean, he played in a couple places because I remember he left LSU, but it seems like sometimes when it gets to that point, is anybody ever worth that much push and pull?
No. I
don't think so, man.
I think about the greatest college football players of my lifetime, like Tommy Frazier didn't have that much push and pull, or Peyton Manning, was highly recruited. Who else? I'm trying to like guys like that, they didn't, and they were worth it. I think the more drama, the less it's just.
Well, there is a chance that a player that Baylor was looking at recently made a decision. When they were in the mix, it kind of got to the point where I think that might have been, I don't say this when players decommit or commit, do whatever you want, but there might have been a little bit of concern about drama. And so it wasn't something that.
I know you're talking about now,
And you hear every fan base will say that, but based on my due diligence on this, is that sometimes it's like, okay, good.
So my advice to high school recruits, like, I don't care how badass you are, like, don't be dramatic.
Yeah. And I think in this particular case, it was, don't be dramatic if you're a parent as well. It's just your son's recruitment, and we'll leave it there. But the Minnesota Vikings have released former TCU cornerback Jeff Gladney. He was a big-time player in the Big 12, but not trying to really have a domestic violence theme here, but that's just unfortunately what's been in the news. He was indicted on a felony domestic violence charge stemming from an incident in April. Gladney's only 24 years old, but he was accused of choking, dragging, and hitting his then-girlfriend in Dallas or near Dallas during an incident that began in a vehicle back on April 1st. However, the grand jury didn't hear the case until July 29th, so this entire time he's just kind of been this weird limbo space. The Vikings were, trying to figure out as well, like, hey, is he trouble? Is he not? Like, what's going to happen here? So now that there's a little bit more detail and this thing started to roll along a little bit, the Vikings, after not having him take part in spring or training camp following the arrest, they've decided to let the due process take its course, and now they've seen it take its course, they've decided to cut him. So Jeff Gladney no longer a member of the Minnesota Vikings, and based on what was read in the counts, they obviously believe there was enough there to indict him, but this is a felony charge, and he could be seeing some serious jail time, and that's a shame because he was a really good player at TCU.
Yeah, there's been a couple of guys. Every school has players who go on to the next level, and they run into situations. We know Baylor's had that too, and others.
Oh yeah, not singling out of school.
Yeah,
here.
No, but he's a first-round pick. He was fantastic. He was a lockdown guy, and
East Texas guy too, wasn't he?
Was he from New Boston? That was so, Jeff Gladney.
Yeah, they were talking about is Jeff Gladney.
Yeah, look it up. I may be from a little school up in the Northeast Texas part near Texarkana.
Yeah,
if that's where he went to
Boston.
school. Yep.
All right, so I'm a little bit hit or miss on statues. I just feel like statues have been a hot topic the last few years, and I'm kind of opposed to the idea, just the things I've seen happen at Baylor and the things just around the country of giving somebody a statue too early on. But I think Louisville might be onto something because they are going to be immortalizing Lamar Jackson. He is going to be getting a statue after winning the Heisman Trophy for the Cardinals back in 2016. He's been gone now, believe it or not, 4 years from Louisville. It's like yesterday he seemed like a rookie that was setting the world on fire, but they're not wasting any time. They're going to get this going. There's not any details on location or what the statue is going to look like and all of those types of things, but he's got so many school records and obviously is tearing it up in the NFL as well. So at just 24 years old, he's going to be getting a statue on his old college's campus, much like RG3 at Baylor or Earl at UT, and I know Heisman Park in Norman and all of that. So a cool deal for Lamar Jackson, and a smart PR move by Louisville. Obviously, strike while the iron's hot.
Well, and again, like he not that Louisville wasn't on the map, but he put them really on the map as far as like you can come to Louisville and win the Heisman Trophy. You know, that's a big deal for them recruiting wise, and moving forward in that conference. So yeah, just like RG3 put Baylor on the map with that. Like you don't have to be at one of the big gigantic blue bloods to win the Heisman. You can win it even in the modern era, where it seems like it rotates through Oklahoma and Alabama quite a bit now, but you can still be somewhere else and win it.
Yeah, no, you're right. I haven't looked at the list of those who have won it. Most of the time they are blue bloods, but it's good that Louisville and Baylor, among a handful of others. Who knows if Iowa State is as good as maybe somebody think. I don't know if that means because he's not a quarterback, but if Breece Hall and Iowa State have a big year, who knows what might happen with him?
Yeah, I mean, you go on winning the Heisman, you deserve some further accolades for that. So it made sense when Baylor did it. Makes sense for Louisville to do it, and I mentioned a couple of other examples as well. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, that'll be outside the stadium, although a lot of details still to be released there. And just one big NFL injury note, the Indianapolis Colts announcing today that offensive guard Quentin Nelson, who is one of the best offensive linemen in the league, he'll be out 5 to 12 weeks. After suffering a foot injury. Apparently it's the nearly identical injury to what quarterback Carson Wentz is dealing with right now. So Frank Reich just kind of laughed off the pain, knowing that his stud O-lineman and his quarterback are both on the shelf with the same type of injury. But apparently there's a piece of loose bone in Nelson's foot, which I can only imagine how painful that is. He's going to have surgery to get it taken out, which apparently was going to be happening today, and then obviously we'll do the rehab thing as well. But for NFL news, I mean, that's a pretty big name in the league, and he's going to miss time, but luckily not anything that's going to keep him out too long. He could be back in the starting lineup in time based on this timeline for their opener against the Seahawks, although that remains to be seen. So there's a few things that are off the radar.
Love that. Normally that would be at 4:45, but Mac Rhodes coming on with us today, and so much to get to. Push this back. Coming up next, David Hellman covers the Cowboys. They're about to leave for Canton, Ohio, in the game with Pittsburgh Thursday night. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got a lot of great deals going on at Richard Carr right now, and well, I could say that every single day because they always have a lot of great deals going on at Richard Carr. In heading out of town this past weekend, saw a lot of people on the roadways, and I saw a lot of people broken down on the roadways at older vehicles, and it was pretty clear that they should probably start finding themselves in the market for a new ride. And, it's a lot easier said than done, but Richard Carr wants to make it as easy as possible for you. Right now, they've got the all-new Cadillac with responsive power, advanced technology, and exceptional agility all combined to bring a smile to your face on every drive. At Richard Carr Cadillac, they will find the right caddy for you, whether it's a smooth and powerful CT4 sedan starting at only $33,395 or the XT4, XT5, or XT6 lineup of SUVs in the style and size to fit your lifestyle. You can also get back on the road with space, safety, and luxury in the Buick models. Right now, well-qualified buyers get 0% financing for 72 months on most 2021 Buick SUVs. And if you're not in the market for a new ride, Richard Carr is also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks, all of them priced to move during the summer savings event, with multiple cars and trucks priced to get you back on the road and comfortable this summer. And each pre-owned goes through a 172-point inspection before it ever hits the lot. So with dozens of lenders, Richard Carr says yes when others say no. 100% credit approval is always their goal, and they are your local hometown dealerships. So give Richard Carr Motors a chance to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, and superior service after the sale. Come by and take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's the summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Impact Research Institute, we can help you identify if you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and measure for liver stiffness or scarring. If you or a loved one has diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, obesity, or concerns about your liver health, Impact Research Institute may be able to help by providing liver health screenings quickly at no cost, physician counseling, and opportunities to qualify for clinical trials. Visit us at impactresearchtx.com for more.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Here is Pollard all the way in for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, we have talked for 2 hours, 20 minutes, pretty much exclusively on college football for a lot of reasons that are going on in the landscape of the game itself. We'll take a break here with the Cowboys and Oxnard about to be in Canton, Ohio, Pittsburgh on Thursday. David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. So, David, the Dak Prescott not throwing, that was something that I thought would probably extend even past their first preseason game. But is this a little bit longer than even perhaps you thought, that they're just kind of sitting back and he's not throwing?
So, not really, but it kind of goes backwards, and it's funny how it worked out, because what surprised me, back when this first happened, Mike McCarthy said, yeah, it'll probably be 2 or 3 days. And after, he specifically was like, 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 practices, he'll be back out there, which, it's very surprising anytime you hear a coach give a definitive timetable on an injury like that. And so I think maybe Mike McCarthy learned a lesson on that, is just kind of try to be as vague as possible when you're talking about things like that. Because, it makes sense that you want to give it as much time as possible. And Dak probably wasn't going to play in this preseason game anyway. So the more time, the better. So I don't think I'm not surprised that it's been a week and he's still not throwing. I think I was mainly surprised that they originally said it would be less, if that makes sense.
How much weight will they put on the quarterback's performances in the Hall of Fame game on Thursday? Given that this was the plan anyway, that Dak wasn't going to play, but insofar as making a backup quarterback decision that might be off the roster.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge opportunity for all of them, but really Ben DiNucci strikes me. You know, the guy, what a ridiculous circumstance he got thrown into last year, where he's playing against the Philadelphia Eagles in his first, real snaps of his career after not, in training camp, third string's only getting 2 to 4 reps per practice. So, it was a terrible circumstance for him. So I think a chance to play in a game environment with, fellow backups and not necessarily the all-pro roster, I think this is going to be our best chance to evaluate a guy like that we've had since he got on the team. So, I mean, until something crazy happens, I assume Garrett Gilbert's the backup quarterback on this team. I think it would have to be somebody coming from off the roster to unseat him, in my opinion. But when you're talking about, whether or not a guy like Ben DiNucci is worth keeping around, I think these preseason games are going to go a long way, because it's probably not fair to evaluate him against the Eagles on Sunday Night Football, but it's very fair to see how he does in a preseason game.
So, David, I saw you address at least one fan showing some concerns over Trayvon Diggs, and you pointed out, well, he's going up against CeeDee Lamb, and he's at a pretty good camp. What have you seen from Diggs? And I mean, I guess CeeDee Lamb has just been showing that wow factor that so many people expect from him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun thing about training camp is, the minute somebody starts to get excited about one player, it comes at the expense of somebody else. I mean, CeeDee Lamb has to make these crazy catches on somebody's expense. And it's been Trayvon Diggs a lot of that time. But I do, I said it on Twitter. I think he's had a very solid camp. Like, he gets his hands on the football. He's good and confident in coverage. He's made plenty of plays. I think he's got 3 or 4 interceptions for, the 2 weeks that we've been out here. So, 3 or 4 picks in 8 practices ain't bad at all. It just so happens he's got to go against CeeDee Lamb every day, and you're not going to win all of those.
So there's a bunch of people in camp, and they're going to take a lot of people to Canton. Who's not going to play, you think, based on Tyron Smith, Dak, Zeke? I mean, they don't need to, but, I mean, is it going to be like maybe a who's who that's not playing on Thursday?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, too, because of COVID. Do you want to subject people to all of the rigors of traveling and the risks that go with it if they aren't going to play? I do think, I mean, at some point, guys, you need enough bodies to get through a game. So, like, not every single starter is going to get to rest. But, yeah, your Tyron Smith, I mean, Dak's definitely not going to play. I think it's safe to say Zeke's probably not going to play. Yeah, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, those guys I think probably sit out. Maybe long tenured guys on the defense don't need to play in this game. Fortunately for the Cowboys, there aren't very many of those. So, I think it's fair to say 5 or 6 of the biggest names probably won't be playing, but I think you'll still get to see a decent amount of the starters do some work.
What's been your assessment of the safeties thus far in camp?
Incredibly impressed with, I say this all the time, DeMonte Casey. I mean, the fact that he's even full go is so impressive to me just because of the injury he's coming off of. I mean, Achilles injuries are terrible for anybody, let alone a guy who has to backpedal all the time. So not only is he full go, but he looks very confident in this defense, and that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody since he played with Dan Quinn his entire Atlanta career. He's making plays on the football, and I've done this long enough to know that doesn't always translate to the regular season. I'm not telling anybody that he's going to be a star, but he looks really confident out here. He looks like he knows what he's doing, and he breaks on the ball and makes plays on the football, which is more than I can say about most of the safeties they've had here over the last few years.
All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. When are you going? You're going to Canton, obviously, right?
I am actually not. Part of our brave new world with COVID protocols and all that. I'm not making this trip, but I do expect to be at the rest of the preseason games after this one.
All right, well,
so you just have to suffer through.
You just get to hang in California?
I know. I mean, how am I going to live having 3 free days in Southern California? I don't know. I guess I'll have to get by somehow.
God, we hate you right
like
now.
my dream.
We absolutely.
3 free days in Southern California.
2 or 3 more days in the rudder room until about 1 o'clock in the morning with all the other degenerates. All right, thanks for your time. That's the great David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, with us on SicEm365 Radio. You guys wish you were out there?
Every year. I mean, it's just part of it. Here's the other thing that people don't understand. It's the weather and it's the atmosphere, and especially now with the way that they're doing practice, it's perfect for us. Like, that was why, like, one of the things that made me mad is practice is at 11 o'clock Pacific. We could be done with everything once the show's over. For the first time ever.
Yeah, because we would be done at 4 and then still go watch another practice and then interviews.
So right. It's done. And so you can have your time, and it's just nice. It's also good for us in team building. Yeah. It's a good team building thing for us every year that we haven't gotten to do for a couple years. No,
it's a chance to decompress before the real season begins.
Well, team build. There's not a lot of free time because like a Saturday, there was for you in golf, but Paul and I would sit at the practice facility for 10 hours waiting for, a media session, and I would have killed for a 1 free day in Southern Cal, much less 3. So I'm sure he will have a very fun time. I know I would be going crazy, driving around everywhere.
And the last time that I was there, I did get one because that's how the practice schedule fell. There's just one day where nothing going on. I went there in the morning. I interviewed Kellen Moore, and then I went, hung out.
All right, when we come back, John McClain, Houston Chronicle. He covers the NFL. I know that a lot of you have joined us because of our coverage of what has happened with the college football landscape, but we have weekly guests that we get to, and John McClain, Hall of Famer. The Hall of Fame inductions coming up. I guess that's this weekend, huh? It just seems like forever. It took forever. Then they had the delay of a year, and then we've talked to many of them, Tom Flores, Drew Pearson, Cliff Harris, among others. His thoughts about the Hall of Fame weekend, and this is SicEm365 Radio.
Look, if you are moving into the Waco area or you are looking to sell your house in the Waco area, and look, it's a seller's market. I saw a house, and you're going to hear me say this on this spot quite a bit. There's a house in my neighborhood right around the corner. Took the dog for a walk the other day, and I saw for sale by owner. And look, I get it that you don't want to, cut a realtor in and you might make more money, but you might wind up losing what you made just based on the fact that you don't really know what you're doing when you're trying to do a for sale by owner. You need a realtor who can navigate you through that, and that's my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. 254-214-3713. Online, LanceDonaldson.exprealty.com, or just get on the old Google box and put in Lance Donaldson, and you'll find him there. And Lance is a local realtor, unique perspective, and that's certainly true about him. He's a great guy, absolutely will go all out for you, and he's going to learn everything he can about you. He's a fantastic listener. You're going to enjoy looking at houses with him. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online, LanceDonaldson.exprealty.com.
Nothing beats fall, football, and Ford. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgin Ford. The Friday night lights at Midway High School ignite that electric feeling. And Bird Colgin Ford, we have some cool electric vehicle options as well. Come put your custom order in today for the all-new Mach-E or Ford Lightning. Enjoy the electricity and the lightning speed on the football field, and nominate who you think deserves the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week at FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com. Visit us anytime at BKFord.com, making buying your next Ford simple at BK Ford.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour, it's been a day with so much yet again with college football and landscape, and Mac Rhodes, who joined us earlier. That content is up in the premium section, also the replay of YouTube, and we appreciate all of you in the chat room, text line, and much more. John McClain, Houston Chronicle. John, there's going to finally be a Hall of Fame induction. How are they going to try to break this down where it doesn't last like for about 20 hours?
They've got, they put time limits. They always put time limits, but people always go over the time limit. They've tried doing music like the Academy Awards. They've tried doing everything except putting a hook out there to bring them off. And what they're talking about now is going to a commercial. Well, some of those guys like Ray Lewis, you know, if you go 10 commercials, he'll still be talking. But, you know, you can't make them do it. You talk about people who've got their hands full. They're doing 2 classes. Then in September, next month, they're doing another one for the Centennial class we voted on last year. So I'll tell you, some really tired people in Canton, Ohio, when all that is over. But it's a good tired because it's a great time of the year.
Yeah, John, I just having gone a couple of years ago, knowing that Jerry Jones wasn't going to just do 10 minutes. Like, I knew that wasn't going to happen. He didn't ramble on too long, but it's just not going to happen. And what do you say to a guy who this is the biggest moment of his life? Like, hey, do 5.
I have never had a problem with people going on because, Paul, as you mentioned, it is the greatest moment of their life. I know how much it meant to Jerry Jones to get in there. I was ecstatic. I remember I was at the Texans training camp in West Virginia at the Greenbrier, watching while I was writing a story, and I heard him throw my name out there, and I'm like, whoa. And then my cell lit up with people texting me, Cowboy fans. And so I am for letting them go as long as they want. I have no problem with it. I never have. And but a lot of people do, and I think it's too bad. And because it is a monumental moment. And really, other than the Super Bowl, the best time of the year for the NFL, because people are being immortalized.
John, who are you most excited to see this weekend get that immortality and that gold jacket?
Oh, Craig, I don't have one that. Yeah, I do too. Drew Pearson. I'm on the seniors committee, and I was on the Centennial committee, and I thought, sure, Drew Pearson was going to get in. Instead, we've already done Cliff Harris, and I thought Cliff Harris deserved it too. But when Drew made it, I was so happy for him because it meant so much to him, and he was so classy about it. You know, he didn't say, like some of them will say, well, it's about time, or I thought I would have gone in. He handled it with so much class and dignity because that's who Drew Pearson is. And so he's the one I'm the most excited about.
Do you feel like his emotions when he did not get in, did that sway any voters the next time around?
No, nobody pays any attention to that. I felt terrible for him. He had people, had the media over at his house, and that was the Centennial class.
Oh,
and
it was horrible.
Thought for sure he was going to get in, and I felt awful, but that never comes up when we're talking about the finalists. And the thing is, we don't ever say, never ever do we say, well, I don't think Drew Pearson deserves it. It's never that. It's always somebody else deserves it more at that time. And Drew got bypassed for so many years. That's why when I'm being on the seniors committee is almost better than being on the selection committee and the coaches committee and the Centennial committee, because they have waited so long. Their modern eligibility is up, and it means so much more to them. The longer you go, the more it means. You know, when you're a first ballot guy like Peyton Manning, of course it's important to Peyton. It's a big deal, but he knew he was going in on the first ballot. But now you got Drew Pearson there. I can't wait to hear his speech. I saw him here at an event last month, and I told him, I said, you're going to have to come up with something really special to top your speech in the draft at Philadelphia.
I'm sure he's got something in the barrel that's going to be great. I'm very curious about Jimmy Johnson and how Jerry Jones has waxed a little bit rhapsodic about Jimmy. I mean, he stopped short of sometimes saying what you really want him to say, but at the press conference a couple weeks ago, he said he effed it up. I mean, like those his exact words. So I'm curious to see what Jimmy's reaction to a lot of that stuff is and how he looks back on it.
The thing that I thought was so emotional was the way they told him and Bill Cowher, both of whom are on pregame shows, that they'd made the Hall of Fame. And both of them cried, especially Jimmy. I thought that was just so humbling to watch Jimmy Johnson, a guy who could be a jerk and a half when he was coaching his players, and for him to get in the Hall of Fame. I sat with Jimmy at a Wade Phillips roast in Port Arthur about 5 years ago, and I sat next to him, and I told him I thought he would get in. He told me he thought he didn't coach long enough. I disagreed because of what he did. You think if Jimmy had stayed there, and this is why Jerry, there's a good chance he's never going to win another Super Bowl. And he knows had he kept Jimmy with Barry Switzer winning one with Jimmy's players, even though free agency would have wreaked havoc on that franchise, with Jimmy Johnson there in control, they might have won 2, 3 more, been right up there with the Patriots and the Steelers. So Jerry knows that. Jimmy's always known that. But and I'll tell you, Jimmy will be as humble can be, as most of them are.
So, John, what is the latest from Texans camp? What is the buzz or lack thereof? I know there was some talk about Deshaun Watson not being around today, but what's kind of stood out to you from these last few days?
Well, I'm writing a column for tomorrow, and I did a video that's on our sports website, TexasSportsNation.com, and I just ripped the heck out of the Texans. because they, I tell them, I say they treat the fans and the media like we're the Three Stooges, with two fingers in the eye and a slap on the back of the head and a whack under the chin, instead of giving us a reasonable explanation of why he wasn't there. Like, he came, he said he was hurt, he left, we'll see if he's back tomorrow. That's fine. Instead of forcing David Culley to get up there and say, well, as I said before, we're day to day with it. The only thing that's changed for the standpoint is we make decisions every day based on what's best for our football team. And I'm going to leave it at that. That's no explanation. And, we're not looking for the formula for Coke or state secrets. We're looking for a reasonable explanation. And the problem is they got people from New England running the franchise. It's the Patriot way. The media just sits there and rips them constantly during practice, and they're alienating the fan base. And I looked around. I didn't see Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. When you're competing for Super Bowls every year, you can alienate a fan base because they're going to lap up your tickets anyway and everything you're selling. And we're talking about here a team that may have the worst record in the league and is in danger of not selling out games for the first time in franchise history.
John, nothing really comes out of what happened yesterday in Austin with the state Senate hearings, but obviously there are some one-liners, some pokes and jabs, and some zingers. Did you hear what your AD at Baylor, Mac Rhodes, had to say?
What did Mac say?
Paul?
Well, he said that for the opening line was, I feel, and correct me if I stray too far, Craig, but
talking to colleagues around the country,
that Texas people believe that they're too big or they're so big.
They think too highly of themselves.
But he believes they actually think too little of themselves. And,
all I know is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and it pretty much, came out with something we know that when the kind of phony expansion talks were going on a few years ago, Texas and OU put the kibosh on it. They didn't want it. Bob Bowles used the term tiptoe around Texas and OU because of TV deals and all these other things. So it was some very damning statements made towards Texas and OU, and particularly Texas.
Well, of course, and the fact is Texas always looked down at the SEC like the Longhorns were above the SEC, more of the Big Ten type. And if they want to do that in Oklahoma's fine, go. But if you're a Longhorn, I've had a lot of my Longhorn friends act like they're going to win, and I'm thinking, if you can't dominate the Big 12, what in the world are you going to do in the SEC? As high as A&M's ranked the last 2 years, they haven't even won their division, much less the conference. And yes, you're going to make money, and we all know the Longhorns need more money. But if you're going to be 4-8 or 5-7 or get some bad ball because you moved to the SEC, there comes a time when you might wish you were back. If A&M had stayed in the Big 12, A&M might have won it the last couple of years. So it's good for them, and I want to know, only thing I care about, I don't care about the Sooners and Longhorns anymore. They're gone. I want to know what's going to happen to Baylor, what's going to happen to the Big 12. I'd love to see Baylor get absorbed into the Eastern Division of a Pac-16. I think that'd be great. Even if they got BYU or Cincinnati or whoever they're talking about to come into the Big 12, I know this, it'd be a tougher basketball conference because the Longhorns and Sooners didn't do anything big in basketball that would threaten those national champion fighting Baylor Bears. But anyway, as I told SEC people, talk shows and friends, beware of the Longhorns. You never know what you're going to get. They're going to come try to tell you what to do, like they've always told SEC in the Big 12 what to do.
John, this might be commonplace, but have you ever seen a player getting waived during training camp after an unacceptable hit, like what happened with the Panthers today?
Well, I think if that guy had been a good player, it wouldn't have happened.
There you go.
You're setting an example, and the best example I've ever seen. And I know it's an old story. John Roper, rookie linebacker from A&M, fell asleep in a meeting, and Jimmy Johnson cut him the next day. And the media asked him, "What would you have done if it was in it?" He said, "I would have turned down the lights, got him a pillow, and told everybody to keep it down."
That's exactly
right. You can cut players like that, but you don't cut to Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, Kirvin Richards, I think, might have been the guilty party at that moment you were talking about. John, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you as always.
Guys, thank you very much. SicEm.
John McClain, Hall of Fame writer, Houston Chronicle. He mentioned, all right, Armstrong, do you have Matt Rule? Carolina? Okay. Well, I know we've got the top 5 coming up. We got a little time here to dance, but
the Matt Rule video was on ESPN.com, and I couldn't download it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So, yeah, Matt was asked. Matt Rule, former Baylor coach at Carolina, was just saying, listen, I mean, it's unacceptable. But I thought that he was, I guess he wasn't a starter. It's IB, is that right?
Yeah.
I guess he was.
eBay, JT.
No, it's IB. But now, do you have the video of RG3 throwing the ball against the wall? This is 9 seconds. He, of course, is always trying to make sure that there are at least, it's agents trying to get him something. Indianapolis might be an option now. I'm not so sure. Well, this is look at it, comes right back to him.
I'm more focused on his hair.
Yeah, that's a new level for Rob on that hair.
Did Tom Brady put out a video, was it last week, with the jugs machine?
Yeah, that was edited.
And it was edited, but this is, I kind of looked for jump cuts. Now, there's a jump cut after 9 seconds, like there. But that comes right back at him. So you got to hit that right on the spot, I guess, right on the point to come back at him.
Well, it looks kind of fake.
It's a one loop. So I doubt that happened over and over and over and over and over again.
No, it's 9 seconds. Yeah.
So that's cool if you can do that on a consistent basis. You are looking at his hair or the pass. I'm looking at the basketball court he's got inside of this bedroom here with the RG3 logo in the free throw lane and the looks like a regulation goal. I mean, that's a 10-foot goal right there. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty sweet.
He showed video of him playing basketball during Baylor's run, shooting threes and stuff like that, and obviously was doing very, very well. Hey, I want to say thanks again to the great folks at Cactus Rock Tamales. I'm about to give Craig some. Went by there on Sunday at the McGregor store. What's the name of that place? It's a market type place. It was fantastic. Got a chance to finally meet.
Oh, like the general store there?
Yeah, that's what it was. He was out there, and these tamales are amazing. And so I bought myself a little hot sauce. It was right there. Thanks to Cactus Rock Tamales. He put a picture up of the two of us up, and wanted to say thanks to him for doing that. Now, Armstrong, do you have the Scott Drew graphic? August the 10th in Houston. Baylor's national championship head coach Scott Drew will be there to be a keynote speaker at the Bayou Place. That's on August the 10th. For more information, go to BaylorBears.com. Again, the Baylor Network is a part of that. Doug Furch and all those great folks. And you could also go to the Downtown Rotary Club of Houston website to get more information and buy tickets.
I've seen some of the people getting the floor.
Yeah, I went online for that. I was curious. But there's like 12 different options for you. Some are just a little tiny piece. Some of them it's $400 and some dollars. Some of it might be 40 or 50 or 80. But yeah, pieces of that NCAA championship floor out of Indianapolis available if you want to go online. All right, anything else? Good. When we come back, Paul Catalina's top 5 among more. SicEm365 Radio. All right, the following cigars, and there are dozens of great elite cigars around the world, but these are inside the 48-foot walk-in humidor at Don's Humidor, Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Christoph, great brand. Macanudo, Padron, Romeo and Julieta, Camacho, CAO, Cohiba, and on and on and on. Monte Cristo, My Father, all of them available. Rocky Patel, which is one of my favorites. La Fontana, another one as well. That's what Don's Humidor has in their 48-foot walk-in humidor. Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne can help you out. And then on top of that, they have CBD and Delta 8 products as well. CBD including Vitadreams, it's gummies that you could chew a little bit of one or maybe all of one. And next thing you know, if you struggle falling asleep at night, if that's a problem for you, go ask Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne to explain what the gummies can do. You take a little bit of a pinch of a bite of a gummy or whatever, maybe as you learn, and next thing you know, you're asleep. And you know that because when you wake up 2, 3, or 8 hours later, you fell asleep and don't even realize it. And I know you go, oh, my God, that sounds dangerous. No, this is something. I've used them on occasion, the gummies, and you want to get a full night's sleep. They will help you with that. And I don't sit there and endorse something that I don't believe in. And those are available, called Vita Dreams. Don Humidor, great cigars, coffee beans ground right in front of you. Fresh coffee beans as well. Town West Shopping Center, Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits, compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55. Presented by Slapsticks Comedy Club. For ticket information, go to slapstickscomedy.com.
I'm performing at Slapsticks Comedy Club this weekend, so you can come and see me. Please get your tickets now. I'm there on Friday and on Saturday. Top 5 things college football needs to figure out now that, look, realignment's a thing it's a thing in the world that we're dealing with. It's something that we have to embrace and see, but there's also other changes that college football has to figure out. So in this things that have changed so much so quickly, here are some things they need to figure out.
All right.
Number 5, is being a student less important to the modern athlete? As NIL and all these things are going on, how do you keep this part of what your actual mission statement is relevant? Because I'm starting to think that maybe it's not.
You don't think that's already been out?
It's already out there, yeah. But how do you keep it from completely going out the door?
That's a good question, and I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I think particularly in football that it's starting to really feel that way. And, look at Quinn Ewers. Is he going to get started on his degree early? No, he's going to make money for football, and he's going to start spring practices early. Maybe once in a blue moon we hear a kid that actually goes, you know what, I'm enrolling early to get started on my degree, but normally I'm enrolling early to get started on practices. And so we've kind of been in this direction for a long time now. The student-athlete part I know is something that administrators and whatnot still say all the time, and I know in Mac Rhodes' case, and I can only really speak to him, he's very adamant about that, but it is starting to sort of feel like maybe we're moving in the direction where that student-athlete part just feels almost dropped altogether, when it comes to certain stories.
I agree.
All right. Number 4, what do you do about weed?
Legalize it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's coming this way. It's going to be legalized or decriminalized in all 50 states, and there'll be some that are going to be led, but all 50 states eventually are going to be like the rest of them, and federal legislation might take it off of Schedule 1, and things are going to change about it. So what do you do about it, especially now in the interim where, if you go to the University of Colorado or University of Washington for a long time, you've been able to legally go to a place and buy it, and if they're going to drug test you for it, I mean, you're kind of taking, that might be the rule, but if you failed a drug test in the University of Colorado and really wanted to take them to task on it, be like, well, I'm legally allowed to in this state as a resident here.
Yeah, I don't know if they even do that test at Colorado. But,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, the state of Texas will probably be one of the last in line to do anything about weed. We appear to be nowhere close to legalization in any form, really. I know there's been some discussion apparently on the medical benefits of it, but that's like at a snail's pace, and that'll probably last a couple years before they actually take it on. I'll tell you what would make it get legalized really quickly would be if the colleges, if it suddenly had a massive effect on the success of certain teams, then I'm sure that they would find a way to go, oh, okay, well, we better push this through, but right now they don't feel the need to. At other places, that might be a recruiting tool. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado's like, do you like to smoke weed? It's legal here. I mean, why wouldn't you use that as a tool?
I don't know if you would say that out loud, or you just be like, driving around and be like, yeah, that's where the TGI Fridays is. There's a really nice place we like to eat all the time. There's a dispensary. There's the mall.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that probably the best course, in my opinion, would be to take that off the table as far as being something severely punished, but it's not even severely punished right now. Like, you wouldn't even know it's a rule unless, other than we just know it's a rule, but I don't know how well it's even enforced at this point.
Yeah. All right.
I used to be completely, how I was. You don't pay athletes. My God, they're there for the education. Students should mean something. And then I'm not getting more by any means less conservative, but yeah, this is a losing battle.
Yeah.
Here.
I think, to get it in Texas, if they could make bullets out of marijuana.
Oh, yeah, we'd have the best.
Number 3, what happens when gambling is legal? What happens?
God, my Lord.
They could not get their way around NIL, which is easily more navigatable than gambling. It really is. But
is navigatable a word?
Now, yeah, I guess so. I'm guessing.
I caught you on one of my names.
I think so.
That's my dictionary.
Yeah.
This is the fine line here, though. Smoke pot, get paid, whatever. But when you're talking about gambling, I don't care if you have the most level-headed person in the world. That gets a little. I understand it. It's all over the place. But now you get a kid kind of on the wrong side of something.
Yeah, I mean, but and again, what do you have to do? The other thing about it is, how do you do what the pro leagues have done and embrace it without embracing it?
I just know that I think this has been so well planned out. I think it was a brilliant idea to throw pot and gambling and NIL and all this all at one time. Let's just throw this all at these young athletes and just expect them to handle it well. And I know the pot thing might be a bit far off, but sports gambling, it can't have a place in college football. I just don't see how it can possibly have a place in college football. It is hilarious to see the backtracking that pro sports leagues did in regards to their stances on gambling. But there was... Man, who was it? It was a hockey player just a week ago who was being accused. Yeah, Kane was being accused of betting on games and having a direct effect. So, I mean, that's, of all the sports laws, written and unwritten, that is one of the biggest unwritten rules is you do not bet, on games. You do not bet on your teams if you're an athlete. So I don't see anything good that comes from this for the athletes. As far as the gamblers go, I mean, they're going to gamble no matter what.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be legal. The other thing is just how do you deal with it? Again, how do you deal with the influx of money that's going to be out there? And I say that with a great sponsor over the shoulder, but it's something they're going to have to deal with.
Joey B on the chat, Ryan, we're up against it because he didn't say, not only do you could use that as a recruiting tool, but you could tell everybody where you can get it, you can buy it legally. But if you don't even test for it, because Colorado apparently, according to Joey B, does not test for marijuana.
Yeah, and they should.
Yeah, why would they?
That's a hell of a deal, yeah.
I mean, that was the thing that Charlie Strong did when he came to Texas, said, we're going to get weed out of this locker room. And I'm like,
immediately lost the team.
You're in Austin, Texas.
Immediately lost half the team when he said that.
You might as well go out to a cow pasture in Texas and be like, we're not going to do meat here. I mean, it's
every street corner has a dispensary out west from Aaron Kayani. Yeah,
exactly. All right. Yeah. Number 2. Do you need an NCAA?
No.
But this is something they got to figure out.
No.
Do you need them?
I don't think so. I think the NCAA has run its course. I think Greg Sankey is going to be the czar or something of whatever the new freakish offspring is of the NCAA, and it'll probably be better ran. I mean, there's just no excuse for the amount of time that it takes to adjudicate a lot of these cases, and some of them shouldn't even be in the hands of the NCAA to begin with. They should be in the actual court system. But, I mean, between just the constant issues that they're facing and their complete lack of an attempt to really take any of those head on, they only say that they do, and then they get to court and we find out, oh, you've just done nothing this entire time. You're just waiting for an answer. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is their purpose?
And I'll tell you this right now, if I'm the NCAA, I do not drop any punishments I've got pending on anybody, seeing as you've just said that in November, you're going to meet and restructure what you're doing. So if my legal standing is, and I'm not an attorney at all, but any kind of attorney I would think would say, okay, so you're going to punish them, but you're also telling me that what you do is ineffective.
Yeah.
So why should they adhere to this?
The Baylor story will drag out another for year 6. We're on year 6 now. Well, we will be, but I think the NCAA is just a house of cards ready to get blown over at this point, and it probably would. I think, or if it goes the way it can, then I think it would be better for college athletics.
All right. And number 1, if realignment is going to be a thing in our life, how's it really supposed to work? Is there a path where it doesn't have to be how this was? If realignment is something that is really on the table or really on the table for everyone else, let's find a way to do it that's better than what just happened.
I think it's what everybody's trying to do right now.
But isn't this
figure out a way to make it work? Yeah. And I don't, the thing is, again, is with the conversation is what's supposed to happen now? Or are we going to look up in a week and nothing's changed other than Texas and Oklahoma have just officially been in the SEC for 9 days at this point, because there's a lot of rumors out there, but doesn't seem to be much actual traction in terms of more moving pieces. So, yeah, it's OU and Texas threw everyone for a loop, and we're all just starting to kind of regain our bearings, and who knows if another loop is coming. But, yeah, I don't know what to make of what realignment will eventually look like, over the coming years.
There may never be an end game to it. All right, thanks, Paul.
Maybe.
Appreciate that. Thanks to BetUS for being our YouTube sponsor. Again, it's the SicEm 125, the promo code. Get 125 sign-up bonus as well. Hayden, Marquise, Jack, these people, young men, are amazing behind the scenes. Armstrong, of course, the genius, and our great sponsors from start to finish, from the day we launched on April the 6th to where we are today. Thank you, everyone. Paul, Catalina, Craig Smoak, great to have everybody back. Tomorrow we check in with West Virginia, Southern Cal, or USC, among others. I'm David Smoak. Again, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Good night. SicEm 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.